Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This police unit is trying to box him in, but instead he just crashes into the tree, and away he goes. But let me widen out. I don't know how far this will take him. Yeah, he's basically cornered. Wow, look at this. Off the road and onto the freeway. Oh my gosh. So he is on the freeway, going wrong side of the road here on the 91 freeway, going eastbound in the westbound lane. This car is smoking. I pray to God that the vehicles that are coming in his direction see this car coming at them and they're able to stop before we see a collision.
Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. There's one I haven't played in a while, right? Welcome back, especially to Green Oz. Green Oz, oh, that's terrible. That's terrible, Green Oz. Oh, I did you dirty with that one. There we go. Much better, much better. Green Oz first in chat again. This is 4 times in a row. All right. Ivan's taking prop bets. Is that's what's going on here, Ivan? Maybe I just shouldn't ask. Let's see. Jamie says, "Do you text every time? Do you text Greeners every time so he has the heads up?" I do not. Greeners has just when we say original goat, Greeners is in that category. He just knows my routine so well that he knows that when I'm talking towards the end of the live stream and I turn like this, I'm setting up the new live stream, and he starts doing the refresh, and he beats me to my own live stream. He logs in, or he connects and types before I've finished making it. I don't know how it works, honestly. A time machine may be involved, but he's incredibly fast at it, as he has proven time and time again. It's a Greena conspiracy. This is accurate, says Greeners. Accurate. Missed the whole morning. Can I get a recap? Yes. Imagine, well, first of all, breaking news. Kaylee. I know we don't get into politics much, but this just came across, and I thought I would share it with you. It was just announced that the United Nations unanimously approved a motion to include, under the list of war crimes, Sergeant Buchanek reading flirty text messages between anybody. Everybody agreed. It's a bad deal. It's a bad deal, and it is actually constitutes a war crime. Punishable war crime internationally. That's what happened. We got all the war crimes. Oh, it was so bad. It was terrible. The short of it is, yes, it was flirty. It was from Karen to Brian. Brian got on board. At the very end, Karen stopped responding, and then Karen said, "John's dead. John died." That's it. I'm looking at those, Angie Law. I'm looking at one. I want to get a nice one that I like. That happened, but if you missed the morning, the beginning of the morning was great. It opened up spicy. It opened up fiery. It was wonderful. We had some great back and forth that was a little frustrating at times. Somebody's at our back door. Don't know who it is. They keep opening and shutting the door. Might be our renters. Why are they coming in our house? Well, they'll figure it out. Somebody's... All right. It's Jen. She's home. She got all the groceries. I wonder if she knows that she got goldfish crackers for me. She did not order them, but I added them to the order after she ordered and before she picked it up. All right, I'll ask for forgiveness later. I felt like Karen started the flirting and was leading him on, but we don't know what he said to her in person at the bar. Yeah, and there were a couple in-person interactions as well that were referenced that we don't know what happened there. But they said that Karen was gray, but the last text is blue where it said John is dead, which could mean that Brian said that to Karen, which would be odd. Thoughts? Let me go back and look. Oh my goodness, it's so many texts. I don't need all 60 hours of court. I just want the current one. 29, there we go. Okay. We ended right here, right? Man, it doesn't want to scroll fast. Okay. Okay, here's the ending. Just so we can look at that really quickly. I'll take this off the screen so you can see. The last text, blue is Brian, gray or on the left is Karen. You sure? Well, that's the ghosting part they're talking about. And then John died. So Karen sent the last text. Roman ADCC. I literally just added, when I talk about Old Bay seasoned goldfish, Mrs. R.A. found them for me. I was looking everywhere. I could not find them. She found them at Walmart and got me one of those big boxes, like the gallon size box. She got me one of those. It lasted for about 2 days. And I just added 2 more of those to the shopping order that's being brought in the house right now.
In front of the Walmart.
In front of the Walmart. Mrs. R.A. placed the shopping order. What is Old Bay seasoning? It's a seasoning that's used on like crab boils. So if you boil crabs in the South in a big pot, Old Bay is one of the well-known seasonings for that, and it's great. It's phenomenal. It's our seasoning here in Maryland. All right, I ate the whole bag. The box, yes, it was basically the case. I ate the whole case. How does AJ clean this up? You know they have people watching social media, and it's on fire with how bad this was for them. Well, Karen Reed, looking for a romantic interest outside of her current committed or semi-committed relationship, does not a murder make. Gives motive, but does not a murder make. I think that's how they're going to clean it up. That's all I can do. Oatmeal says, check the burner phone. I think I saw something from you just a little while ago. Just 1 second. Goodness, we got some great stuff. Oatmeal, send me a text again. Oh, here it is. Oatmeal here. Old Bay. Oh, liquid Old Bay. I've only had the dry stuff. I've only had the powder. I didn't know it came in a salsa, like a spice salsa container or a hot sauce container. All right. Old Bay seasoning is yummy. AJ can't clean this up. He blew it with this. Nobody likes a cheater. It's hot sauce. That's I have not tried it, and that is very tempting now. Hope the jury didn't get unalived by embarrassment. I doubt AJ would have brought in the text without Karen's okay. That is a decision that he could make without her approval, but you're right. They seem to be working closely on this case, and I'd be surprised if she wasn't on board with that. Karen, just to give it some perspective, Karen at different times when being questioned, even during this, as late as during this trial, after it had begun, she leaves the courthouse. She has said she stands by everything she said in her recorded interviews. And we know some of those sound really bad. So that's just a little perspective, something to keep in mind. Question, do I make popcorn or not? It's up. Yes, do it. Brian Higgins was not just not that into her. I would agree that that most of the flirtation was coming from Karen to Brian. He made a couple comments here and there, but he was quick to be like, "Okay, I'm out. I'm sorry. No, don't want to do anything right now. You should have asked sooner. Maybe I could have made time and plans for you, but I'm not." He wasn't like what's the Johnny on the spot? Is that, I don't know. He wasn't the quick to respond, you rang sort of thing. That was not him at all. All right. Did I say it says day 12, part 2? Oh, man. It's day 13, part 2. I forgot the part 2 part. Save. Michelle, I fixed it. I apologize for that. Maybe defense will show bar video of Higgins gesturing towards John as they were leaving. Also, Higgins texted John, "You coming here?" That's part of it. They might show the whole. Well, they've tried to get the roughhousing, the play fighting in, not very successfully this time around. The first trial, they were. It was easier to get that in, probably because of the people who had been called. He also downloaded his own phone and then destroyed it. Yeah, that looks a little suspicious. Not just destroyed it, but deposited it in 2 different garbages on an Air Force base, where even police sort of need a reason to go. I mean, Air Force police are on there, but it's funny. I was actually doing a ride along with an officer one time, and we had a call, a paramedic call for a heavily intoxicated person, sort of like a wellness check on somebody who's way too drunk. And it was on the Air Force Base. And so here I am in the passenger seat of the car, and the cop just rolls up, lights flashing, and it's like, I don't think we even came to a stop at the gate. I think they knew we were coming, but we zipped up there, got there, and there's a guy who he's like laying down, and they're just trying to make sure he's not like choking. They're trying to get him to just roll over a little bit. And he is just, he had just celebrated his 21st birthday, and he drank everything in the bar. And it was so bad. I think they ended up transporting him for observation. But what a way to really regret your birthday the next day. Let's see. When is lunch over? It's supposed to be over right now. We're a little bit late. We're actually about 11 minutes post when we expected to come back. The judge rarely does a full hour lunch break. Usually it's half an hour to 45 minutes. She broke just after 1. Or excuse me, just after 1. And we're approaching 2 right now. I do think the judge once again stepped in it a little bit today, a couple times. First of all, she really showed her opinion when she said, "You're not going to make him read all that, are you?" And then, "Come to sidebar. I need to talk to you sidebar." She clearly did not want the witness to read those. And then when she came back and announced that they we're trying to expedite, or trying to make this faster, I apologize type thing, that's it. First, she pointed the finger of fault at the defense. And the jury saw that. And last time she did that, she came out and she apologized. I think another mea culpa is in the works. Let's see if it's happening in any second now. I think they're about to begin. So, let's see. Grab the latest and greatest. All right, so if Karen is found guilty, she could request a new trial based on Bev's behavior. I don't think... The problem is you would have to show that impacted the jury, and that had it not happened, it would have changed things. There's a level you have to reach, a bar you have to overcome, a hurdle, you might say, you have to overcome with an appeal. You can't just say that everything you don't like in trial would have changed I mean, it would have been all different had that not happened. It needs to be more than that. The standard's a little higher than that. So I doubt that it on its own could do that. But if there were additional ones, if they went through every time in trial that that the judge clearly sounded exasperated at the defense when they say, Your Honor, may we approach? And she's like, no.
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
I'm not going to argue about semantics. And every time she's like, nobody wanted to waste your time like that. All those comments, if they put them all together and put it in a nice little binder and present it on appeal, saying, here are all the instances we feel that the jury was definitely given the perception that the court was against the defense. That could add up, and that could be something that would be considered. Yes, semantics works. It's the only one I've done off the list. I've got a lot of others. I have not done the hear ye, hear ye, hear ye's. I need yesterday's hear ye is what you need. That's see, that's going to be number 27. Let me pull that one up really quickly. I think yesterday's hear ye was one of the best. Did I get it? Oh, no. Let's see if I got it here. Just one second.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons having anything to do before the Honorable Beverly Canoni, the Justice of the Superior Court, holding in Dedham within and for the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is in session. Please be seated.
That was a good one. That was what I would call the full Monty when it comes to the hear ye, hear ye's.
I'm not going to argue about semantics.
I'm not going to argue either. Ivan's on the phone. If I can answer it.
Call from
your neighborhood bookie.
Neighborhood bookie. What do I owe you? What's my bill? I've got a running tab over there. What do I owe you? What's up, Ivan?
We'll talk about the VIG later. Okay, we'll talk about the VIG later.
We'll settle up.
So I don't know. I don't think.
Oh, Ivan.
What do you think the purpose of bringing all this out was?
In front of the wall.
Why would he do that?
They just turned on the mics. We're coming back right now.
10-4, you're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Bye. Ivan knows how to do that. When he calls, court comes back. That's just what happens. Mics are hot. Judge hasn't spoken up yet. I hear a sigh. We're counting it.
This court is back in session. You may be seated.
All right, Mr. Jackson, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant, you had an opportunity. Obviously, you read them, so now you've familiarized yourself with that series of text messages that you received from Brian Higgins, correct?
Yes.
Would you, I'm going to ask you the same question again. Would you consider those text messages as you reviewed them when you received them from Brian Higgins as being flirtatious or romantic in nature?
I would not categorize them.
Would you like to read them again?
Certain parts of it might be, but the total conversation, if you want my opinion, I can provide you with it.
Was there some flirtation in the text messages that you noted?
There are terms that I used. You're hot,
fresh,
witty, stuff like that. You know, talking about banging and hooking up.
What word would you use to describe them if not flirtatious?
The totality of the conversation?
Sure. Let's start there.
My opinion is that it's a angry girlfriend trying to set up a hookup to her John.
To her jump?
To her John.
To her John.
Yeah.
Would you consider the responses from Brian Higgins to be flirtatious in nature?
There are conversation parts that are enticing, maybe a little of advances, but the totality of, to put a label on the whole thing, My opinion is that she's trying to get revenge.
Get revenge
Yes, get revenge.
on John
Yeah.
for what happened on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Okay. When you say revenge, you don't mean physical revenge.
Well, emotional revenge. She's trying to hook up with Higgins and then hurt John by cheating on him.
And in fact, you did note that John O'Keefe was not privy to these text messages, right? Objection.
I'll allow that. Do you know that?
I do not, Your Honor, no.
He's not on these texts, is he?
I don't know if their accounts are synced at this point. I don't know if he's seen them. I don't know.
He's not. His phone. You know what his phone number is. You guys got his phone, correct?
We do have his device, yes.
Do you have any evidence that his account was somehow, how do you know if that means synced with Karen Reed's account?
Not from his device, no, but he could have seen the text messages.
Okay, so there's no evidence that he was synced. His account was synced with anything, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
There's no evidence.
You were facing the other way. I didn't hear.
There's no evidence that his account was synced with anything.
Not his device that we have, no.
And you don't have, as you sit here, you don't have any evidence whatsoever that he saw any of those text messages, correct?
We don't have that, but I do not know.
Okay. So as you sit here, my question is very simple. Do you have evidence, affirmative evidence, that John O'Keefe ever saw these text messages?
I do not have evidence that he saw them,
Okay.
no.
So would you agree that the text messages show a romantic interest, for whatever motivation, a romantic interest from Brian Higgins toward Ms. Reed?
You have to ask that differently.
In your mind, as you read the text messages, did you determine in your head that there was a romantic interest by Brian Higgins toward Karen Reed?
In my mind, I saw the text messages for what they were, initiated by Karen Reed, and began a text message conversation with Brian Higgins.
And Brian Higgins was responsive to those text messages, correct?
They did communicate back and forth.
He was responsive to the overtures that Ms. Reed made toward him, correct? Suggestions. Let's get together for a drink, come over to my house, I'll come over to your house, things of that nature. Those went back and forth between the two, correct?
Yes, they went back and forth. Yes.
And did you determine that there was an interest by Brian Higgins in Karen Reed?
I read that he repeatedly asked her what's her plan, what's her goal, what's her interest, what's her intent.
Did that show you an interest on his part, in her?
I think at one point he said he was confused, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or what's the term he used? He was unsure what she wanted.
He called her hot.
He did, yes.
He called her witty.
Right from the rip, yes.
He said he wanted to spend time with her.
Spend time, yes, yeah.
He was interested in going over to her house.
Yes.
He was interested in her possibly coming over to his house.
Yes.
He told her that he thought she was hot, his words, from the jump, correct?
From the jump, yep.
How did you interpret that?
From the jump, I would interpret it as right from the beginning, maybe the first time they saw each other, laid eyes on each other.
At the Waterfall bar.
As a matter of fact, he basically said that, didn't he, in the text message? From the first time I saw you, I thought you were hot.
Yes.
Okay. He constantly was using phrases, to use your words, phrases interested in knowing how she felt about him, correct?
Objection. Sustained. You to ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Did you interpret any of his text messages as Brian Higgins being interested in knowing how she felt, what she was thinking about him?
Objection. Ask it again.
Ask it again.
When you first saw these text messages and you reviewed them, did you interpret those text messages in your mind? That's what I'm interested in your mind, as Brian Higgins being interested in knowing how Reed felt about
I believe his statement indicates that he was interested in seeing what her interest was, what her intention were, and questioning the fact that she's dating live-in boyfriend with his buddy.
He used the word ghost several times, correct?
I do recall reading the word ghost.
How did you interpret that word?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I interpreted ghost in the common slang terminology as to abandon conversation, stop communicating.
He indicated that 2 different times in the text string, correct?
I know I read the text messages, by reading them out loud to a room full of people, I might not have remember how many times the term ghost came through.
Fair
I
enough.
was concentrating more on the reading, not of the comprehension of each
Focusing on
word.
my performance.
Fair enough. But you did note that he used that term in his text messages to her, correct?
I think I recall at least once that the term ghost was present in the communication.
Did you interpret that? I'm looking for what was in your mind. Did you interpret that, the use of that word by Brian Higgins, as showing some level of frustration at her abandonment of the conversation?
No, I did not. No.
Not at all?
No.
Have you ever heard the phrase, "you ghosted me"?
Yes.
How do you interpret that phrase, just in general?
I've heard it communicated between other people. I've never used the term ghosted. I think it's a little after my time in communicating with others, but I take it as you stopped responding to my text messages.
Do you take that, do you interpret that,
Is it a positive
or
thing?
did you interpret that as a positive or a negative comment? You ghosted me.
I interpret it as a matter of fact, like you stopped talking to me. I never thought about it in a positive or negative connotation. I never gave it any thought.
As you sit here now, if you do give it thought, would you put a positive or a negative connotation on the phrase, you ghosted me?
Just say it.
Sustained.
You're aware that,
Everyone on the jury knows.
based on the text messages that we just saw, there was a series of text messages that went back and forth starting in mid-January and basically ending around January 23rd, correct?
This chain of text messages began in January 12th and ended January 29th.
Right. I'm going to get to the 29th. But the back and forth ended on January 23rd, did it not?
I don't recall specifically. I can leaf through it and tell you what it is. I know I read the dates out loud, and again, I was concentrating on reading.
Do you have the document in front of you?
I do.
Could you turn to the last page?
Yes, sir.
I believe it's the last page. It may be the second to the last page or something.
I'm not going to argue about semantics. Can we get him for perjury? Just on the I'm not going to argue about semantics. Just on that alone. All we've had is semantic arguing.
Do you see an entry on January 23rd, 2022, a text message from Brian Higgins, thought you were all set?
Yes.
And Ms. Reed responded with talking? Question mark. No. Period. Correct?
That is her response.
Mr. Higgins then responds, with 4 M's behind the H. Correct?
That's correct.
And then he responds again. By the way, did Ms. Reed respond to the
No, she did not.
And then he follows up with, "You sure?" with no punctuation. Correct?
That's correct.
Did Ms. Reed respond to "you're sure"?
She did not.
The next text is on January 29th at 11:32 p.m., correct?
I just found the
I'm sorry,
goldfish.
January 28th at 11:32 p.m. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Is that from Ms. Reed or from Mr. Higgins?
At 11:32 p.m. on Friday, January 28th, it is from Mr. Higgins.
That's all I ask. And now, can you tell the jurors what that text is? And then the next text immediately after it.
Well.
So between January 23rd and January 28th, would you describe Ms. Reed's side of the conversation as having ghosted Mr. Higgins?
No, she initiates the conversation. You had me read the second text message in the chain.
Between January 23rd, when that last text message was sent by Brian Higgins, until January 28th at 11:32, would you describe that as Ms. Reed having ghosted Mr. Higgins for those 5 days?
Strictly looking at the text message communications and not knowing whether they...
Correct. I'm not asking you to speculate. I know there's other stuff you want to say. I'm asking you just to read, just to answer the question that I've asked. Based on the text that in front of you, starts with Buchanek, does it appear that Ms. Reed ghosted, as you define the term, Mr. Higgins, from January 23rd until January 28th?
One could read into that in that manner, yeah.
And then on January 28th, Sergeant Buchanek, when Brian Higgins sends, well, did Ms. Reed respond?
No, she did not. They were together at the same location.
Did she respond to the text?
On that day?
Correct.
Not on a text message, no.
You said they were together. That means that Brian Higgins was together in the same room with Ms. Reed when he sent his text, correct?
Yes.
And she ignored it, didn't she? Okay.
Sustained.
Said it quietly, but that part's
You also
important.
received from Mr. Higgins certain text messages between him, Mr. Higgins, and John O'Keefe himself, correct?
Yes, we did.
And one of those text messages, one of the last text messages that they exchanged was, as a matter of fact, the last text message that was exchanged was Brian Higgins at 12:20 a.m. on January 29th, 2022, texting Mr. O'Keefe, "You coming here?" with 3 question marks, correct?
I would have to take a look at the document. I don't have a memory of it specifically. I know I reviewed it, but I don't have a memory of the time and content.
May I approach you, Honor?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. No worries.
I'm surprised AJ didn't cross Mr. Buchanek about how he always verifies what people tell him. They don't take it at face value. They get information from a witness or somebody involved in an incident. They verify it. They confirm it. They get some outside verification. They didn't do that with with a number of people.
Based on this extraction, I cannot definitively say that this text message was sent on January 29th because of the file source time and and the JPEG being so small. I can't testify to that, sir.
May I, Coach?
Yes.
Your Honor, Mr. Brennan has kindly offered to stipulate that the "you coming here" text was sent. I would offer the following stipulation: that "you coming here" text was sent on January 29th at 12:20 a.m. from Brian Higgins to John O'Keefe's phone. Quote, "you coming here," 3 question marks following it.
What was the time?
I'm good. 12:20 a.m.
Mr. Buchanek, there is your sign. The prosecutor is stipulating to things you won't admit to on the stand. You're causing them problems.
May we enter that stipulation with the court's permission?
Sure. So,
Answer the
jurors, you've
question.
heard that the lawyers agree that that fact is true.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. So you were aware of the timeline on or about January 29th when, first of all, Karen Reed had not responded to a text message from January 23rd throughout January 28th and into January 29th. Sorry, throughout January 28th by 11:32 p.m. or so. She just not responded. Correct?
So the text message that she sent to Brian Higgins, the last time she sent a text message was on the 23rd.
Right. And he responded with several text messages to which she did not respond on January 23rd. Correct?
I believe she sent 2 and he said 3, I believe.
So the answer is yes. There was a text message that she sent, that he sent to which she did not respond. Is that right? On the 23rd.
He was the last one to send a text message on the 23rd.
That was following multiple text messages back and forth between the two of them, spanning a couple of weeks. Correct?
Yes.
Then, on January 28th, 2022, Brian Higgins is at the Waterfall Bar and Grill after 11:30 p.m. Correct?
He was.
Karen Reed then walks into that same Waterfall Bar and Grill, accompanied by her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. Correct?
They did.
Brian Higgins then texted Karen Reed, who's standing in the room. Well, correct?
Correct.
Karen Reed ignored that text. Correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Karen Reed did not respond to that text.
There's no text.
Brian Higgins then, a little less than an hour later, texts John directly, "You coming here?" with 3 question marks. Correct?
Correct. It's been stipulated.
That is an accurate timeline of the events that we've just talked about, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're also aware of a call. Your investigation revealed a call between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at 2:22 a.m. on the 29th, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did your investigation reveal a call between between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at 2:22 a.m.?
Objection.
Sustained.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Did your investigation reveal a call? Why? This has got to be relevance. I can't think of another objection here. AJ has laid down a path that definitely gets into Brian Albert. Interesting. I think this might come in. AJ's good at arguing this. K Koala, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much. Also, we have a milestone message here to celebrate here for Jen Jobs, member for 23 months. OG. Corey A, First Mate May, says, I think she's probably responsible, but 100% not guilty. And Kelly H gifted a membership to kick things off first thing as well. Thank you all. Thought we wouldn't get to the butt dials. If the Commonwealth is not going to introduce these witnesses, which have a significant amount of questionable activities around this time period, AJ is going to try to bring in all the dirt through Sergeant Buchanek. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. I hope he doesn't get shut down here, because the butt dials deserve at least a look. More than just we butt dialed each other back and forth a few times and left no voicemail messages, but we didn't answer. We just answered and hung up. Needs more than a glance. I think AJ opened the door for the Aruba incident twice now. Yeah, that does not look good on Karen. I can tell you that. Her behavior down there on the vacation. I think they showed that in number 1 as well. That was rough. You saying we're going to look at butts now? Sort of. We're just going to glance at the butts, the butt dials specifically. What is the point with this conversation? Brandy Joe, what AJ is going to try to get here is that Brian Albert had a romantic interest in Karen Reed, was surprised at her showing up at the Waterfall with John O'Keefe. That's why he texted her while she walked in. He's like, well, you know, that those were in response to seeing her with John, and then he texted John directly, "Are you coming here?" Invitation to come to the house. AJ is basically trying to say he wanted to let John know that that he was the new man in Karen's life. That's the logical conclusion that AJ wants us to jump to. I think it's missing a lot of stones between there to make that jump. It's a big leap, but I can see it. And if that is there, and if the judge does allow it, and we've got most of that in through testimony so far, then it stands to reason that if there was some sort of altercation between Brian Albert and John, then it might be pertinent to talk about these phone calls between Brian and his friend that happened late at night. I keep saying Brian Albert, and I'm mixing up with the Bryans and the Higgins. Don't sue me. I apologize. That was an honest, a Scrivener's error. It's just a Scrivener's. No, what was it called when it's just a mistake? I'm mixing up Higgins and Albert. Brian Higgins with the texts. Brian Albert was with the phone call, right? Thank you. I'll read chat a little better. It's a scriber's error. Thanks for catching that. Blue Eyes is like, it's Higgins. Quit saying Albert. No interest from Brian besides a possible booty call. Nothing more, says Heidi. Linda Lou, I apologize. The Bryans are getting me confused. I'm focusing on my goldfish crackers, Old Bay goldfish crackers, that Mrs. R.A. conceded and brought into the office. These are fantastic.
Sure.
This is what happens when either AJ has to move on from where he was planning to be and try to look where he can pick up, or they're trying to find a document that now has become relevant.
Sergeant Buchanek, did you become aware during the course of your investigation, then I'll narrow the time frame, during the course of your investigation, that there were calls between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at approximately 2:22 a.m.?
He won.
On the 29th?
During the course of my investigation, I was not aware of that. If you have a document that I can see, I can tell you if I've ever seen it before.
Did you seek to secure Brian Albert's cell phone to determine what calls he did and didn't make on January 29th or January 28th?
No, we did not.
Okay. In your experience, would a phone extraction, a cell phone extraction of Brian Albert's phone, have revealed calls made and received in the time frame that we're talking about, the 28th and the 29th of January 2022?
If a phone is extracted, the records of phone calls being made and received would show those records.
You did receive information from Brian Higgins' phone, specifically the texts that he claimed he pulled off of his phone and gave to you, correct?
We received text messages that I read today that Brian Higgins provided from his phone.
Did you seek to secure his actual phone for a forensic download or forensic mirror image to get the actual calls made and received or text messages made and received from his phone?
No, we did not.
At some point, this is just yes or no, at some point, did you become aware of a call between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at 2:22 a.m. on the morning of the 29th? Just yes or no?
No.
As you sit here today, this is new information to you. Let me rephrase that. This is unknown information to you. You do not have any information about that?
Objection. Sustained. We need a time frame, Mr. Jackson.
I realize that, Judge. That's why I'm asking it this way. As you sit here, are you aware of a phone call between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins at 2:22 a.m. on January 29th, 2022?
Look, you just shared that with me. I have no memory or record of seeing that it actually took place. I do not know.
Okay, so you've never heard that before. That was what I was getting to. You've never heard that before?
No.
Okay. You indicated that you did not seek to secure Brian Albert's phone to do a phone extraction at any time, correct?
We did not try to get Brian Albert's phone for any reason whatsoever.
Did you become aware during the course of your investigation that Brian Albert destroyed his phone?
I'd like to be seen. Objection.
No. Jurors, disregard that question. Go over to sidebar, please.
Jurors, that ringing you hear in your ears was not a bell. It was not a bell. There was no ring. There was no ring. Just put it out of your minds. It does not, like it didn't even exist. Imagine that the bell sound you heard is like the cell phone that was just mentioned. It doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. Just put it out of your mind. AJ's in trouble. Brennan knows it. I don't think the judge is going to side with AJ on this one because she immediately struck the comment. Brennan's mad. I believe someone's about to get a whooping. This is a relevance issue. This is relevancy. The Commonwealth has not called Brian Higgins. The Commonwealth has not called Brian Albert. Diving into this is a third-party culprit. And there needs to be some foundation laid. And beginning with, are you aware that they destroyed their phone? Well, even though it's one of the very beginning. You probably need a little more than that. Genjo, I think the correct answer here is yes. Yes. Thought they weren't allowed to say third-party culprit. There's a point in the trial where they will be allowed to bring in some evidence regarding third-party culprit. There are some they are not allowed to point the finger at all. I believe Colin is on that list. But these ones are fair game if the timing is appropriate. It's not relevant that John died on Brian Albert's, I think you meant Albert's lawn. Both of them destroyed their phones after making late night calls to each other that night, which they both say didn't happen. Why can't the defense call Brian Albert and Brian Higgins? I think they may be able to. I don't see why they would not be allowed to. He replaced it or upgraded it. I believe we got testimony that he threw it away on the Air Force Base in trial number 1. That was from him directly, I believe. What was their reason for destroying the phones? It wasn't that they got word that the next day they were to receive a subpoena telling them to preserve the phones. It wasn't that. It didn't have anything to do with the court order to preserve and turn over. It was just, I think it was just time for an upgrade. Right then.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you become aware of a call that was made by Brian Higgins at 1:35 a.m. while at Canton Police Department?
I am not aware of that, no.
So you did nothing in terms of investigating any phone call that Brian Higgins did or didn't make while at Canton PD on the night or the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022?
We never sought to get Brian Higgins' phone. He was not looked at as a individual that we would need to get his information for any reason at that point.
Even after you received and read all of those text messages between him and Karen Reed?
Correct.
And even after you became aware of the timeline that we just walked through, starting on January 23rd, going all the way into January 28th and into January 29th, you did nothing to investigate that?
We had the information that we had. We did not need to get his phone.
And the information that you had came from Brian Higgins himself, not from a forensic extraction, correct?
The extraction that Brian Higgins provided was a forensics extraction of his communications with Mr. O'Keefe and Karen Reed. We had Mr. O'Keefe's phone and we had Karen Reed's phone, so we can verify and confirm that those text message communications were accurate unredacted, not deleted, and were true representation of what their communications consisted of.
And that was a representation made by whom?
The totality of it.
That was a representation made by whom? A person made that representation to you that it was fair and accurate. Who made that representation?
It wasn't a person, it was the extractions between the three devices.
Well, an extraction that you were handed on a device by someone, correct?
No, I said that we had all three devices, and as I told Mr. Higgins in our interview together, I said, Brian, we have those two devices.
Meaning
if
John's
you
and Karen's.
correct.
Okay.
If there's anything deleted or altered in any way, we will have proof of it. So please make sure that you understand the magnitude of this situation. We're investigating a homicide. It needs to be accurate, and it was.
And you trusted that coming from Brian Higgins rather than simply getting an extraction from his phone. Correct? Yes.
I trusted him, yes, because we trust and verify. And after verifying, the extractions were correct.
And following that verification of the text messages, did that raise any suspicion in your mind about any possible motives Brian Higgins may have relative to John O'Keefe?
Suspicions of motives? Is that your question?
Correct.
No, the evidence spoke for itself. The honesty, cooperation of all the witnesses and corroborating, supporting facts spoke for themselves. So I was not suspicious of his motives. The conversation was documented over text message. Spoke for itself.
Supporting documentation, including a text message at 2:20 a.m., just minutes before John O'Keefe arrived at 34 Fairview from Brian Higgins, right? 12:20 a.m. That's one of the factors, correct?
That's one of the factors that is part of the entire investigation, yes.
One of the other factors is that John O'Keefe's body was found in the lawn at 34 Fairview, just feet from the front door, the side door, and the garage door. One of the factors was you originally said that it appeared that it may be an incident involving a cocktail glass to the face. Initially, please.
Based on verbal reports, initially, that was a possibility. Again, it was before we spoke to...
before a lot of other things happened, but initially, that's what I'm asking about.
Yes, initially, it was a possibility.
And when you saw John O'Keefe at the hospital, a big contusion above his right eye, correct?
That is not correct.
A big egg just above his right eye?
That is not correct.
You did not see that?
His eyelids were swollen, not above his eye. And it wasn't a contusion.
Two different paramedics said that they saw what they described as an egg above his right eye.
This is objection.
Well, let me ask you differently.
Yeah.
Did you speak to any of the paramedics?
Yes.
Did they describe an egg above his right eye?
I'd have to see a report to actually be described as an egg above his right eye.
Did you notice a laceration at his right eye?
His right eyelid did have a tiny, tiny laceration.
Did you see a small laceration in his nostril on his nose?
A tiny, tiny laceration, yes.
You noted that he didn't have any broken bones or fractures other than to his skull?
I did not know that. I didn't conduct x-rays or conduct the autopsy. I'm not a medical professional.
You didn't ask the doctors at the time you went and visited him and saw him in the hospital whether or not he had broken bones or fractures?
I don't believe they reported that.
And another factor that you considered was the fact that in the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022, around 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., there were no taillight pieces found at that location? Zero? Do you consider that?
At what point?
On January 29th, when say 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., consider that?
Once we learned that there was damage to the defendant's right rear taillight, I could only consider at that point because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
We don't know, we don't know. We work with the evidence that's presented and we develop the investigation.
And the evidence that was presented at that time, Sergeant, was a leaf blower was used to search the area, the exact area that you described for this jury as being the area around fire hydrant, flagpole, where John's body was, and no taillight material was found at all in the first searches. You're aware of that, yes or no?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you're also aware that no taillight material was found until after that SUV was in Massachusetts State Police custody and sitting at the Sally Port in Kent. Correct?
I believe the first taillight piece was found after it was in our custody. I don't know the exact time. I'd have to see it.
When you talk to Brian Higgins, did you ask Brian Higgins about potentially seeing John's body when he left 34 Fairview and headed over to Canton PD?
Yes, I did.
You knew that at that time, say 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, there was about 0.2 of an inch of dusting of snow, correct? Very light.
At that point in time, there was a coating. I cannot speak to the amount of snow that was on the ground.
But Brian Higgins told you in that interview that he didn't see the body because it was hidden by a snowbank.
Objection.
Did he say that to you?
I don't have a memory of that, Your Honor.
We can refresh his recollection.
May I approach you?
Yes.
Here we go.
Take a look at page 3 of the highlighted portion, if you wouldn't mind.
Colin won't be on the stand this time. I'm pretty sure we won't see him at all.
May I approach?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that Brian Higgins said something about a snowbank at the time when he left 34 Fairview?
He stated the reason he did not pay attention to the grass is he was concerned with his snowplow on his vehicle. Anything over the snowbank, just with the plow in front of him as he operated the vehicle.
And of course, you knew at the time, as a detective and an investigator, you knew at the time that with a dusting of snow, there is no snowbank. Right.
He mentioned plowing the driveway for the Alberts when he arrived, so there might have been coating and he was just plowing it. and then creating a line. I cannot speak to how much snow was actually being plowed with the dusting that was on the ground. So there might have been a small snowbank. Again, he was referencing it. He was not paying attention to anything behind the snowbank. So behind it.
Snowbank being in the yard. Actually, he said the lawn.
Yeah, he's.
Sorry. He talked about the snowbank being in the lawn, not the driveway, correct? That's how he described it.
He said he was not paying attention to anything past the snowbank being the lawn.
And did not pay too much attention to the lawn area behind the snowbank, correct?
Right, off to that area, right.
Did that raise any suspicions in your mind that Brian Higgins may have been being less than truthful with you?
No.
Getting back to the Waterfall Bar and Grill, you were also aware that Brian Albert was at the Waterfall, correct?
At one point, yes, we learned that.
And you knew that Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were friends with each other. Is that right?
We learned that as well, yes.
You've already indicated that you did not seek Brian Higgins' phone records. I may have asked you this, and if I did, I apologize. Did you seek Brian Albert's phone records or an extraction from his phone?
No, we did not.
Did you look at the entirety of the Waterfall video? Did you review the entirety of the Waterfall video when you first obtained it? Or have you looked at it since?
I have at one point or another viewed the entire video, yes.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, this has already been marked as evidence, but I cannot let it. It's not my notes. Exhibit 22, I'm told.
Okay.
May we exhibit that for the, or present that for the jurors?
Yes.
And I'm asked to advance this to runtime 8:30 to about 11:08, so a couple of minutes with the court's permission.
Yes.
Okay, here comes the grab tush. What did they call it again?
Can we pause it briefly, Mr. Wolk?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Can you please, if you can, point for the jurors whether or not you see Brian Higgins in that video?
I'll use the screen in front of me for initial indication. I believe that is Brian Higgins right there.
Can you do me a favor, just so everybody has a perspective? Can you also point to him there? Okay.
There you go, right there. I believe that is Brian Higgins.
Okay. Do you see Brian Albert in that video?
I can't tell you exactly. Maybe if you run it a little bit longer, or zoom it in, I could possibly tell you. But from right here, right now, I cannot.
Sergeant, why don't we play this for a couple of seconds? And if you don't mind, if you get to a point where you recognize the person that you know as Brian Albert, could you just tell me to stop and I'll pause it?
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and play it with the court's permission.
Sure.
Here we go.
Can you pause it?
Stop it.
Go ahead, Sergeant.
Brian Albert is the individual right there. Right there.
Can you describe what Brian Albert and, by the way, for the record, Your Honor, the witnesses indicated the person toward the left, right under the 2-9 on the chyron on top, the 29?
Yes.
Can you describe what you see the two individuals, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, doing in this scene?
It looks like they are facing each other. possibly squaring off in a stance.
Can we go ahead and play this forward, please? Can we pause it? Sergeant, did you see either of the two men or both of them squaring off in what you would consider to be a fighting stance?
I guess it could be considered that. I would look more like roughhousing. Right. It's a couple of buddies messing around.
Not suggesting they were actually fighting, but a fighting stance.
Yeah, no, they were not. They were not fighting. No.
If a suspect did that to you, would you tase them? Group hug continues in the background. Was that a kick? I missed it. I blinked.
Can you pause it? Sergeant, do you happen to see in this shot, just for orientation, do you see my client, Ms. Reed?
I'm sorry, I was paying attention to the two gentlemen.
That's fair. That's kind of an unfair question.
Sorry,
could you, if we play this a few more seconds, could you look around, scan around, and tell me if you see someone that you believe is my client?
Yes, I will try.
Let's go ahead and play. Go ahead and pause it. Do you see anybody that looks like Ms. Reed?
Yes, I believe she's in top left, top right corner of the frame talking to Mr. O'Keefe and I believe two other gentlemen.
Long hair?
On your client?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play this up to 11:08, please. Is that up to 11:08? Okay, thank you. We can take that one down briefly. This is, if we have the lights, thank you. Sergeant, this is at the Waterfall just before midnight on January 29th, 2022, correct? What you just saw.
That footage is from the Waterfall just before midnight on 28th.
I'm sorry, my mistake. On the January 28th, 2022.
Correct.
Going into midnight, January 29th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
All right. This would be just minutes before everyone headed out of the Waterfall and went back towards Fairview, correct?
Not everyone. The band didn't go to the Fairview.
Well, obviously I'm not talking about the band or the bartenders. I'm talking about Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, those folks. Correct?
It's before some of those individuals left the bar and headed to 34 Fairview.
If we could push to runtime 16:35, 17:22, while you're queuing that up, did you see, after I asked you the initial time about the stance that the two men were taking, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, did you see them continue to take what could be reasonably described as a fighting stance toward each other even in jest?
They were squaring off and roughhousing, yeah.
Okay, what does squaring off mean?
Facing an opponent in like wrestling or a martial art, I guess.
Hands up?
Yes, squaring off, yeah.
You are former military?
Yes.
And current law enforcement?
Yes.
Is hand-to-hand fighting taught in both the military and paramilitary organizations like law enforcement?
I had hand-to-hand combat training in the Marine Corps. I had defensive tactics in law enforcement capacity in the Marine Corps, federal, local, and state academies.
Are you aware that Brian Albert is former military?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I am aware that Brian Albert is former military.
And Brian Albert was also a Boston police officer?
I am aware of that as well, yes.
Are you aware that Brian Higgins was former military and a combat veteran?
Now I am, yes.
And are you aware that Brian Higgins, at the time this was taken, this video was taken, was also a federal law enforcement agent?
I was aware, yes, I was,
Okay.
yeah.
If we can go ahead and run at 1635 to 1722 with the court's permission.
Okay.
Whoa. What are you guys doing? Hey. Knock it off. You there at the high tops. Oh, wait. I can hear it now. Down, set, red 42, red 42.
You can pause it. Can you describe for the jurors what you see Brian Albert and Brian Higgins doing in this footage?
Based on my understanding, it looks like he's giving him the Heimlich maneuver.
Or spooning, one of the two.
Abdominal thrust, I guess. I don't know what he's doing.
Brian Albert's got his hands around Brian Higgins, correct?
That's what it looks like from here. I have no idea what he's doing.
Could it be described as wrestling or grappling?
I guess, yeah.
They're not slow
Let's go ahead and
dancing.
play it.
Is that a Harley jacket on Higgins?
Thank you. If we can take that down. During the course of reviewing this video, or the entirety of the video, not just the clips that you just reviewed, did you see where John O'Keefe was, generally speaking, relative to Brian Higgins and Brian Albert?
Throughout the entire time?
He wasn't standing still, I understand that, but generally, was he standing with them or was he closer to the bar in the back of the video?
I believe after Mr. O'Keefe arrived and embraced a few people with hugs, I guess if I had to estimate, most of the time he was on the other side of the table, which would be closest to the bar area.
And after you saw Mr. O'Keefe walk in and greet everybody with salutations, did you ever see him interacting with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert throughout the evening again? On this video?
On this video, I did not know.
I'd like to play runtime, one more clip, Your Honor. Runtime 1915 to 1957, about 45 or 50 seconds. Can you pause it?
You can't sue a lawyer.
Just to orient the
What they say in
jurors,
court.
can you see any individuals that you earlier described, Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, any of those individuals in this clip as yet? Or do we need to play it a little further?
I would need you to play a little bit further, please.
Is it possible, with the court's permission, to zoom in on the upper portion of the video?
Okay.
If you could center that just a little bit toward the right. Other way. There we go.
Other right.
Thank you. And if we could go ahead and play that from 1915 to about 1957. Pause it.
Ooh, that was.
You recognize the three people center screen now.
I really can't make it out. I would have to be assuming,
I want you to assume.
guessing. I can't make it out
Let's
to
play
identify each individual.
Let's play it forward if we can. One more time. At this point, go ahead and pause it. At this point, can you make out any individuals?
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, I can say that that looks like Brian Higgins in the middle of the three gentlemen.
What is he wearing?
A Harley jacket.
It looks like a hooded sweatshirt.
Okay. The person to his, sorry, let's do it from your perspective or the juror's perspective. The person to the left of Brian Higgins.
I believe that's Brian Albert.
And the person to the right of Brian Higgins.
To the right from my perspective?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I believe that's Chris Albert, but I'm not positive. I'm not
Let's go ahead and
positive.
play it. Stop. Did you see Brian Higgins just do something?
I was not paying attention to his gesture. We have to replay that, please.
Does it appear he's looking a particular direction?
He is looking in a particular direction based on that frame, yes.
Is that toward the bar area?
It's in that direction. I don't know exactly where he's looking, whether he's looking at the bar, to the right of the bar. I can't tell from this.
Okay, okay. And John O'Keefe, you indicated earlier that John O'Keefe, that's where you saw him most of the video, toward the bar area, to the right of the bar.
If you scroll to push the screen to the right, I can tell you where Mr. O'Keefe is.
With the court's permission.
Yes.
Do you see Mr. O'Keefe in that
No, you
group of
can't.
people?
I cannot make him out. Could you play the video? Maybe he is behind an individual.
Let's go back to, if with the court's permission, I'd like to go back to the full video, and let's play it from here.
You want somebody to come with him.
Pause it. Could you see what was happening with Brian Higgins?
He was gesturing to someone. I was trying to see Mr. O'Keefe. We were talking about Mr. O'Keefe, so I apologize.
Understood. With the court's permission, could I play the video one more time with it focused on the other side of the bar?
Okay.
Thank you. Last time.
Can you tell me who to focus on, please,
Yes.
so I'm not looking for the wrong person?
Sure.
Thank you.
Pause it. Do you see John O'Keefe there?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Can you point to where he is for the jurors, please, on both televisions?
Mr. O'Keefe is right there wearing the sweatshirt, tone gray sweatshirt with the hood on it and his hat.
And
this
on the other TV?
right
Okay.
there. He's appears to be at the bar paying the bill.
Okay. With this perspective, could we just go ahead and play that, the 30 or 45 seconds one more time? But please focus on Mr. O'Keefe. Pause it. Do you see where Mr. O'Keefe is looking at this point?
Yes.
Where is he looking? What direction?
Well, from this vantage point, it looks like he's looking to the left on the screen at the individual he appears to be conversing with.
Okay, go ahead and play it. Pause it. And what about now?
Same individual.
Okay.
He's still engaged in conversation.
Pause it. And what about now?
He's taking a sip of beer.
Right. Which direction is he looking?
In the same direction.
Okay. Go ahead and play it. And go ahead and pause it. We could go back out to the full screen. At this point, does it appear in the video that Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, Chris Albert have all left the bar?
There's someone standing across the table from Mr. O'Keefe to his rear. I don't know who that is, so I can't testify to that. The others have left.
Given this perspective, now that we've seen both of them zoomed, do you have an opinion as to whether or not it appeared that Mr. Higgins was gesturing toward John O'Keefe just before he left the bar?
Given this perspective, he might have been. I don't know who he was gesturing at.
Okay. We can have the lights up. We'll take that down. I want to change gears for a second. Let me ask one more series of questions, if I could, Sergeant. What we've just seen was literally Brian Albert, Brian Higgins leaving Waterfall to go to a different location. What was the location they were headed to, based on your investigation?
They were heading to 34 Ferry Road.
And shortly thereafter, who else followed to go over to 34 Fairview?
I'm sorry, you said Chris Albert?
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't? Okay.
Nope.
Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, they went to 34 Fairview, and then Mr. O'Keefe also traveled there.
Thank you. I want to shift gears, if I could, to another video. Did you review certain ring videos, specifically relative to One Meadows, the outdoor ring video servicing the carport area?
Yes, I have reviewed those videos.
If we could, Your Honor, just a moment. This has previously been marked as 12A. If we could, with the court's permission, zoom in on the Chevy Traverse in the upper left-hand, the vehicle in the upper left-hand corner of the video.
Okay.
You get to watch the tire rotate. This is the impact.
Pause it.
This is the first the jury's heard about
upper
this.
left-hand corner. Okay. Go ahead and play. Pause. Did you see anything happen with the left rear tire of the other car in the driveway?
Which car are you talking about?
The highlighted portion, the parked car, which is the left rear tire that's zoomed in on.
I wasn't paying attention to the tire. Can you play it again, please?
With the court's permission?
Okay.
Let's try that one more time. Pause it. Okay, you can take that down. Did you see anything happen with that left rear tire of the Chevy Traverse?
Based on that video, it appears there might have been movement there.
Last year, and you've seen this video several times, correct?
I have.
You saw it during the course of your investigation, not just in the course of proceedings, correct?
Right.
Last year, you indicated that you observed the vehicle, Miss Reed's vehicle, come near Mr. O'Keefe's car. Which one in that video was Mr. O'Keefe's car?
The Chevy Traverse.
And that would be the car that was parked and static, not moving, correct?
Correct.
Having seen this, do you still believe that the SUV came near the Chevy Traverse, or do you believe it struck the Chevy Traverse?
With the clarity of that video, there is a lot of movement in the shot. Not with great certainty. It appeared that there was movement of the tire, but I cannot say with 100% certainty that there was movement.
You can't say with 100% certainty that that tire literally shifted and wiggled upon some sort of impact.
Based on the video, there appeared to have been movement.
Okay. You had this video for the first 3 years of your investigation. You had this video very early on, correct?
That's correct.
And for the first several years of your investigation, did you either deny, well, let me ask it this way, was it your assessment that the SUV did not contact that Chevy Traverse?
My assessment with the totality of it all was that based on the video, there was no damage that occurred to either vehicle at that point in time.
That wasn't my question, Sergeant. My question was your assessment that there was no contact between the two vehicles? Is that what you assessed during the course of your investigation?
I did not assess that there was no contact, no.
Even as recently as last year, you testified in another proceeding that the SUV came close to the Chevy Traverse, correct?
Yes, I said there's a lot of movement in that shot. It's difficult to tell if there was more for me to observe and push that certainty level up. I would have testified differently.
As you've seen the video enhanced, zoomed in on, do you wish to amend that testimony from last year?
Objection.
Ask it differently.
Sure. Given what you've just seen, what is your testimony now about whether or not that SUV struck the Chevy Traverse?
There is movement of the tire. There is
movement of the tire. Could be an earthquake. Could be someone standing there pushing the car. I'm asking you, based on what you just saw in this video, do you believe that the SUV struck the Chevy Traverse?
Logically speaking, the two vehicles had to have come into contact for the tire to move.
They had to have collided, correct?
At a slow speed, yes.
Okay. Which area of the SUV collided with the Chevy Traverse? The front, the rear?
It appears from the video it's the right rear area of the Lexus SUV that comes into contact with the Traverse.
What time was this video taken?
I believe that is at 5:07 a.m., if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you, Sergeant. I want to change gears again, if I could, and ask you about a dog. You're aware that the Alberts, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, had a dog that they named Chloe on January 28th, 29th of 2022, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow the question. Were you aware of that?
At what point in time, sir?
January 28th, 29th, that area.
Was I aware that they owned a dog on January 28th or 29th?
No. Are you aware now that on January 28th or 29th, they owned a dog? There was a dog in the house.
Now I am aware, yes.
Okay. During the course of your investigation, you learned that, correct?
Yes.
During the course of your investigation, did you also become aware that the Alberts got rid of their family dog?
Objection.
I'm going to see you at sidebar on this, please.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I don't have popcorn. I only have goldfish, but I'm eating them as fast as I can. This is incredible. I'm loving this testimony. AJ is winning right now. I'm comparing car silhouettes to see which parts would connect. Let me roll back. Some people said they didn't see the motion. I'll bring it up on the screen, and we're going to play it back a couple times right here. All right. Karen Reed is backing out of the car, and they've added a little zoom in. The reason why it goes like it's all calm and quiet like that, and then suddenly the snow starts, right here, boom, the motion detector picks up the motion from the car moving, and the floodlights turn on. So the floodlight is now shining down on the snowflakes that are falling, and they're illuminated and reflecting light. That's why it does this. So it wasn't like the storm suddenly started while she was backing up. Car continues to back up. They draw a little box around the tire area and blow it up way over here. So watch on the right-hand side. It's going to be your best view. And we're watching for some motion. Boom. Now watch the tire. If you can look at the tire here, the tires are rocking. Boom, boom, boom. There's motion, and there's motion back when the car starts pulling away. Oops. Let's do it again. He didn't see it that time. Okay, so when the car pulls away, it rolls back. See this? Is everybody seeing that? I know there's a lot of flashing on the screen, and probably most of you are having seizures now. But, hey, Mrs. R.A., how are you doing?
Good, I have a question.
Mr. R.A. wants to talk.
I have a question, and maybe this is easiest answered simply by saying...
Wait. I have a question first.
What is on the mic?
Goldfish crackers. I'm
Gross.
sorry.
Okay, I'm wondering... sorry, that was not cool. Sorry about that.
Why did you buy me goldfish crackers?
I am that thoughtful. I'm just amazing like that. Okay, so here's the question. What part of her car hit his car? I mean, and maybe the easiest thing is, well, there's damage on the Traverse in this area, and there's damage on her car in this area. But you can bonk cars, and like maybe it was bumper to bumper. And
we're not allowed to say bonk.
What?
I said bonk before, and people said don't say bonk. So bump.
Okay.
Bump. I guess bump's bad too.
What? You can't take away
you can't
all
say
of the
bang,
words, guys.
Bonk or bump. Apparently, they all mean the same thing, and it's not.
Well, what it means to me is that it's hitting that car, and so I'm wondering.
Oh, boink! Can't say boink. Bonk is okay. Proceed.
Okay. Where are the cars hitting each other? What parts of the cars are in contact with each other? Is it the rear tail light? Is it the bumper?
I bought a taillight today. I'm not sure I told you this.
You haven't, but we were talking about it.
Okay. I bought a taillight. I have not bought a bumper. I would need to buy the whole back end of a Lexus to see what the profile is.
Well, I'm wondering, and maybe this is a silly question because it's like, well, the taillight's broken. Obviously, it was a taillight. But what if it wasn't?
It is a good question. My study on this, just doing a little research, the back side of a Lexus, the bumper particularly, is more firm than the front side of a Lexus.
But which part sticks out more?
The back bumper does, but it depends on the height of the other vehicle.
Exactly. So I was looking at the silhouette of the Traverse, trying to see, well, which part sticks out most there? Buy a Lexus and a Traverse. Solution. I would love a Traverse.
I'd like a Lexus.
Would you? You'd go for the Lexus?
Yes.
Okay, that's my question. That's.
Can I have my Cheeto mic back? Okay. Sorry. All right. There was nothing on here. It's clean. It's clean, guys. There's nothing. There's nothing there. story is amazing. The Chevy Traverse has a plastic bumper, which could have dented in and then popped back out again, right? Write it off as a business expense. Unfortunately, that would put me over the annual income for the entire company. So you can't do that. You have to first have the income to be able to write it off. Need a Lexus for science. My daughter has a Traverse. Snarky old lady, where are you at? Can we borrow it briefly? If somebody else has a Lexus, we can do this. My exact Traverse like that has a plastic bumper. OG Boy Mama ×3. What we need is a profile view and a sideways view looking at the driver's side of the car to see the profile of the bumper, right? And then we also need to rotate about 22.5 degrees and then look back at the profile of the light and the bumper to see where the light points out, bumps out, where the bumper is, and with measurements from the ground. And then we need to do the same thing with the Lexus, and then sort of match those up based on the angles we have here. So we need like Phil from 2IO Toys to get some cars out together and just see where they bump, where they make contact. Rent them and get insurance for one day. Mr. Fix-It, this is a great idea. I'll send you one, says OJ Boy Mama. Thank you. We need scale models of the Lexus and the Traverse. That's what I'm thinking. It's more in my budget to buy those than to buy the actual cars. So at this point, what do you think the point of Colin Proctor is? Well, there are more texts, there are more words, there are more bad words, and specifics about friends that were involved in investigations or friends he involved in updates on the investigations that would come in that wouldn't come in through Sergeant Buchanek. I wonder if Matchbox has the same cars. They would need the same suspension. There's a lot of factors. You really need the real cars, I think, to do this. How long does this break? As long as it takes for the judge to determine if Chloe gets to come up. If Chloe can come out and play today. I've got an Lexus, but it's the 500F. Daughter has a Lexus, is 250, very reliable. They're good cars. I had a Mercedes once. Very, very used, very old Mercedes, but I loved it. Texas Brand says, I've seen the video leaving John's house, and I believe it was her bumper that tapped the other car. The bumper does protrude beyond the taillight, but we don't know how it matches up with the profile of the Traverse, especially specifically at that angle. So yes, if you're looking completely sideways at the Lexus, the farthest back portion of the car is bumper. But if it's backing diagonally, as this car was, into the Traverse, it's possible that the most outward portion of the vehicle is the taillight. And also, depending on how the Traverse is shaped, you might have that issue as well. Yours expression once the dog was mentioned was epic. Let's fast forward and do that, shall we? Okay, here we go. I think it's about right here.
Yes. During the course of your investigation, did you also become aware that the Alberts got rid of their family dog?
Objection.
I'm going to see you at sidebar on this, please.
Sure. The Chevy Traverse. The front, the rear.
It appears from the video as the right rear area of the Lexus SUV that comes into contact with the Traverse.
Video.
Okay, we got that part.
I believe.
Oh, I like this one.
I believe that is at 5:07 a.m., if I'm not mistaken.
Next is the dog. Here we go.
Thank you, Sergeant.
We're back. We're back. We have to come back. Sorry. We'll look at the dog face later. Next, the jurors are laughing at Buchanek and smirking when Jackson questions him.
Thank you. Sergeant, at some point during the course of your investigation, did you learn that the Albert family had gotten rid of the dog named Chloe.
Coming in, he's won everything.
We learned that they no longer cared for the dog. I don't know if get rid of is accurate.
Well, they don't have it anymore, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what would you call it?
Giving it up for adoption, I guess? I don't know. I'm not a pet owner.
Well, what if they didn't give it up for adoption?
I'm sorry?
What if they didn't give it up for adoption?
Rehomed, I guess.
Okay. So it's no longer...
Correct. They no longer own the dog.
Okay, so they got rid of it. It's like you get rid of a car, right?
I'm going to switch. Get a different audio source
Right.
here.
Right? Right?
You can get rid of a car, yeah.
Okay. And you can get rid of a dog. That's all I'm asking.
Yes, you can get rid of a dog, yes.
Okay. At some point during the course of your investigation, did you find out that the Albert family got rid of Chloe?
We learned that they no longer owned Chloe, yes.
Okay. When did you learn that?
I cannot tell you exactly. I can tell you when we looked into it officially.
When did you look into it officially?
I traveled to the dog's home and assisted with identifying the dog and investigating that animal.
Okay.
Tell us about that.
What documentation did you use to identify that animal?
It was veterinary records.
I want to stop you there. Veterinary records from whom? From the Albert family? When they...
I did not get any veterinary records from the Albert family.
The veterinary records that you did get were veterinary records that had been utilized with the Albert name? Where these veterinary records?
The veterinary records were with the vet that's caring for the dog and also owns the dog now.
Okay.
And those records also had been dated prior to when the dog was owned by the Alberts.
Okay. So, other than some veterinary records that, and by the way, the dog's not even named Chloe, correct?
The new owners renamed the dog, yes.
Cora?
That's correct. Yes.
And the new owners did not get that dog from Brian and Nicole Albert, did they?
No, they did not.
They got it from a separate person. Is that right?
That is correct.
Separate person named Riley?
That's her last name, yes.
And did this person Riley have any records showing purchase of Chloe or adoption of Chloe from the Alberts?
No.
Cora, also formerly known as Chloe.
You did write a report about the newest owner of this animal, this dog, correct?
I documented my trip to the location and the steps I took and services I provided in the investigation.
And in that report, you omitted the name of the new owner?
I'm not sure.
Did you omit the location of where you actually came in contact with this animal?
You're going to have to show me my report. I don't remember.
I'm trying to fix the sound. I've got it. It's crunchy right now. I don't like this feed. So add some crackle to it. Let me see if I can jump back away to this one. Is that better? Sounds a little better. The problem is I have to crank up the gain a little bit and put a limiter on there to limit the top end of Buchanek's voice and boost AJ's, because AJ wanders around the court when he talks.
Okay, I apologize about that.
No problem.
I'm the one slowing us down just a little bit. May I approach?
Yes.
Did this, reviewing your report, refresh your recollection as to whether or not the new owner's identifying information is in this report?
It did.
And is that information in the report?
No, it is not.
You've got, there are some veterinary records that you supplied along with your report, correct?
Yes.
That you gathered?
I'm sorry, what was
That
it?
you gathered along while you were doing
Yes, yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
If you'll take a look at those 4 documents. Do those appear to be the veterinary records that you gathered related to this animal?
Cora is in witness protection, formerly known as Chloe. Mr. Buchanek here is doing his best to not burn her cover.
Yes, it does.
Do any of those records, any of the veterinary records, the 4 pages that you're holding, even include the name Cora or the name of the new owner?
We've got a new dog. Chloe has a body double.
I browsed through it, and no, it does not appear that Cora or the new owner are included in any of these 4 pages.
May I approach?
Yes.
So you drove out of state and looked at a dog. It was not Chloe. It was Cora.
You don't have any transfer records for Chloe, correct?
All the records that are provided by the owner.
I'm going to go through a series of questions, Sergeant. If you can answer it yes or no, that might make it go a little faster. You don't have any transfer records, correct?
I wouldn't know what it looks like. That's why it's even quicker me telling you that that's all the records that I have.
Okay. I want an answer to my question. You don't have any transfer records.
I don't know what a transfer record would look like, so
the
I
answer
can't.
is no.
I don't know.
Okay. You don't have any rehoming records.
I don't know.
You don't have any purchase records.
I don't know.
The only records you do have are those 4 pages of veterinary records that don't have the name Cora and don't have the new owner's name. Correct?
That's correct.
You would agree, shifting gears for a second, that timely report writing obviously is an important aspect of any investigation, correct?
It is important, but we can only write reports as feasibly and possibly we're capable of doing. Sometimes investigations are rapid, So you can't write a report. You take notes, and some time goes by before you actually document the information on an official report. The information's there, it's gathered, it's maintained by the investigator, it's shared, it's acted on at times, but the official reports might take some time to write.
So obviously, if you're, like you said, things are fast moving in an investigation. It might be that you interview a witness on a Tuesday, you're super busy on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It might be Friday before you can even sit down and draft a report about that interview that you did on Tuesday, correct?
Different circumstances dictate differently.
That would be completely normal.
Yes, it is.
But most of the time, it's best practices, and you're taught, and you teach your subordinates, that it's best practices to reduce to writing and memorialize a report as close in time to the event in question that's being memorialized as you can, right? Obviously, perfect world.
In the perfect world, we'd write it as it's happening.
Are you aware that more than 20 official police reports in this case were not recorded for more than 100 days from the time that the event in question was done, was being memorialized?
I did not know the exact date and delay.
Are you aware that there are 11 reports that are more than 300 days from the time of the event that was being memorialized?
I was not aware, no.
Are you aware that there are 3 reports that are more than 400 days from the time of the event that was being memorialized?
I am not aware, no.
Would the
Are you
case
aware
agent
that there
know?
are 4 reports that are more than 500 days from the time of the event that's being memorialized?
I am not aware, no.
Are you aware that the longest delay of any report in this investigation was 581 days?
I am not aware of that, no.
You became aware early on in your investigation of 2 individuals named Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson, correct?
They are witnesses, yes.
Both Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson, you learned, were outside 34 Fairview in the early morning hours of January 29th, correct?
We did learn within our investigation at some point, yes.
And you learned, Sergeant, very early on in that investigation because you interviewed Ryan Nagel in February of 2022, which is just days after the event, correct?
I'm not sure of the exact date.
Obviously, as you just said, you became aware that Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson were witnesses in your homicide investigation, important witnesses, you'd agree, correct?
They were witnesses.
You learned that they arrived at the house at 34 Fairview sometime after Karen Reed and John O'Keefe arrived and pulled up behind their parked SUV, correct?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. You learned that where they fit into the investigative puzzle is that they pulled up behind Karen Reed's SUV when Karen Reed and John O'Keefe arrived at 34 Fairview. They pulled up sometime after that and pulled up right behind them, correct?
That's not correct.
What is not correct about that?
They arrived simultaneously. Karen Reed took a right onto Fairview. They yielded to them and followed towards 34 Fairview, stopping at the driveway as Karen Reed proceeded further up.
Did you listen to the testimony in this case up to this point?
No.
There's a sequestration order, correct? Correct?
Yes, yes.
Which means you can't listen to the testimony of witnesses, eyewitnesses, who are testifying in front of these jurors.
Correct, yes.
You don't know how witnesses have testified from that witness box in front of these jurors, correct?
I have no idea.
Okay. So your information is that they pulled up simultaneously, correct?
Objection.
Is that what you just testified to?
That's my memory from what the the interview produced.
you certainly knew that they were eyewitnesses to the condition and the location of Miss Reed's SUV, correct?
Yes, from their interviews, yes.
And you also are aware that they would have been in a position to see the occupants of Miss Reed's SUV as they were behind it and then pulled around it, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you become aware that they were in a position behind the SUV and as they pull around it, they could still see the SUV?
Objection.
Sustained.
You knew what potential role they played in your investigation as eyewitnesses, correct? Generally?
When we interviewed them, when we learned of their existence, when we interviewed them, we collected information based on their recollection.
Okay. My question was, you're aware that they had a certain perspective as it relates to the SUV that night, the early morning hours, right?
Based on their interviews, they had a perspective with the brake light being on constantly.
I'm not asking you what they said. I'm asking you if during the course of your investigation you learned that Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson had a perspective. They were eyewitnesses to certain things. As relative to the SUV, right?
Yes.
You instructed your subordinate, Michael Proctor, to interview those witnesses in August of 2022, correct?
I'm not sure when they were interviewed. I don't have a memory of instructing him to go interview them.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Take a look at that document and tell me if you... Why don't you just tell me if that, whether or not that refreshes your recollection as to communications you had with Michael Proctor specifically.
Uh-oh, the judge is swiveling in her chair. What does that mean again?
Thank you, Sergeant. Does that refresh your recollection as to a conversation, or I'm sorry, a communication that you had with Michael Proctor?
Unfortunately, it does not. I will take the document at face value. I do not have a memory of having these communications, but I will take the document if it's authentic and it is true and accurate that it took place. But I do not have a memory of sending these text messages.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I don't recall.
Also, my name's misspelled in there. Is that from the extraction, or where is that from?
Couldn't tell you. Wasn't me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I can't.
Ask Proctor.
I can't take credit for that. Thank you. Thanks. If your memory is not refreshed about that particular communication, do you remember in general communicating with Michael Proctor about interviewing Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson?
I do not know. I'm sorry.
Would that have been something that you would have found important relatively early on in the investigation? These are eyewitnesses. Let's get them interviewed.
Yes, it is. It is important to interview anyone that's an eyewitness. Sometimes it takes longer because. Are you listening? I'm sorry.
Thanks.
You asked the question. I just wanted to answer.
I know the answers to my own questions. Go ahead.
Okay. So while we want to interview every eyewitness, sometimes an important fact is already detailed and witnessed by another witness. So in this situation, we had already interviewed one of the occupants, the one that was driving, the one that had the observed the events taking place, and we asked him if we were going to talk to the other two, would they have the same recollection, observations? Did they leave the vehicle to go in the house at all? Anything like that? Anything different? So that's...
Okay, so it would be important, obviously, to interview witnesses in a timely manner.
In some instances, yes. Okay. Yes.
Do you remember when Trooper Proctor actually interviewed Ricky D'Antonio and... I'm sorry, when Michael Proctor interviewed Ricky D'Antonio and Heather Maxson?
I do not have a memory of that, no. I'm sure a report would...
refresh my recollection.
Indicate when?
The brain worm is set in. Cannot recall. This report does not refresh my recollection. The reports hadn't been invented yet.
Yes. I may have misspoken. Sergeant, take a look at that. I thought that was a report from somebody else. It's a report from you, actually. Tell me if that refreshes your recollection as to when Ricky D'Antonio was actually interviewed.
Yes, this report, authored by me, was states that on Saturday, September 2nd, he was interviewed.
What year?
2023.
The year after the accident.
So that would have been a year and a half later, correct?
Yes.
Do you believe that's a timely report, or rather a timely interview for an eyewitness, the gravity of which is described in your report?
We again, perfect ideal world scenario, it would be quicker.
So that would be, no excuses, I'm not throwing barbs, but that would be untimely, correct? Year and a half later?
We do the best we can.
You indicated that your memory was that...
that's the best they can do.
The cars arrived simultaneously. That's a interview with Ricky D'Antonio. You see the highlighted portion?
Oops.
I see it.
Ricky D'Antonio actually told you that the car was parked, correct?
Objection.
The objection sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach with you?
Yes, can I see that, please?
Okay. I think AJ is going to win this one because this is a impeaching the witness, and it is this witness on his report saying well, I don't know. How does he get the information? He's putting one witness's testimony against the other. Ricky's saying, I didn't tell him that, I told him this. Let's see if we'll be able to go there. I think at this point, Trooper Buchanek has all but given up. He just wants to get off the stand. Notice that Paul appears to be wearing a suit jacket, possibly anticipating testimony. Stacy, I saw that. You guys notice I haven't been paying attention. I'm sorry. I've been glued to the screen as this has been unfolding. The comment from Mr. Buchanek, the snide remark where he was asked a question, he starts answering, and clearly, even though we can't see it, AJ turned away and went and was talking to Miss Little or Yannetti or somebody else. And Mr. Buchanek is like, "Are you listening?" And AJ's response was, "Yeah, I know the answers to the questions I ask already. But go ahead, continue." It's just like, I wouldn't be asking a question if I didn't know the answer to it. Oh, wow. Zing. All right. Good stuff today so far. Remember, Maya called out the attorney for not listening to her replies. Yeah. And it worked because Maya was a kid. Oh, yeah.
May I, Your Honor?
This is a win.
Thank you. Isn't it true that when you interviewed Ricky D'Antonio, he indicated that upon their arrival at the home, 34 Fairview, quote, a dark-colored SUV was parked in front of the home facing up towards Chapman Street. That's what he told you, correct?
That's what the report indicates for Ricky's interview, yes.
And in fact, you wrote this report based on Ricky's interview.
I wrote that report, yes.
Thank you. If I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Are we almost done with Buchanek? It's almost 4 o'clock.
Your Honor, I'm just about to start.
Why don't we come to sidebar now from the floor?
Ojibwe has been sending me pictures of a Lexus taillight, very similar model to what Karen Reed has, but a little different. And I think, even though this is not, I believe, the exact same car, it might illustrate a point very well, which is probably easier to see in picture than me trying to describe it. So give me just a second. Let me get this pulled up for you. Okay. All right. Take a look at this taillight. If you were to draw a vertical line down on this image, what I'm looking at is that the protrusion of the taillight is almost identical to the protrusion of the bumper. Where the bumper is designed to give somewhat, the taillight is not designed to give. Depending on the height of the vehicle that you come in contact with, you back into it, it's possible, and it's even, I would even say reasonable, depending on the vehicle, for the taillight to break when striking something else. The only problem I have with that is that the Commonwealth, the defense, wants to say there was just a little piece of the taillight missing. And that piece was more towards the tailgate side of the taillight, not the corner. In fact, that corner piece that might have been struck first was arguably still there in the ring video. And the part just to the left of it was gone. Thanks for those pictures. I was texting back and forth, and it's like, move over here, get this angle from this other direction. I wanted to get the license plate out of it and things like that. Renee says, I'll be on vacation next week with no Wi-Fi. It will take me a week to get caught up. No, it won't. You just won't get to sleep for a week once you come back. You'll have to binge watch everything all at once. Paul is dressed up very nicely, the nicest we've seen him, sitting next to him. Is that Michael Scott? No, that's somebody else. Never mind. I thought we had a famous actor sitting in the courtroom. We do not. I'm mistaken him. He looks more like Prince Charles now that I look at it. I think Paul's next. We may start tomorrow with direct examination of Paul for the state. I think AJ's either he's going to be done right now, or he's about to go into a new area that could take a significant amount of time. Monday, yes, no tomorrow. I wish we'd work tomorrow. That would be great. We'd get some great stuff done. I'm going to work on the bathroom tomorrow. Paul was ghosted by AJ, taking all day. Yes, Renee. You should have asked. Send you the Starlink. You'd be good. No, actually, I can't. It costs more to use Starlink on a boat. Do you know that?
Joe, Especially as this moves along, I think it becomes more important for me to talk to the lawyers about scheduling to give you some idea on how we're doing. I can tell you that everybody's in agreement that we are right on schedule. So we're not behind schedule. Optimistically, maybe we're still a little bit ahead, but we are on schedule for many purposes. Monday, I'm going to ask you all to come in at 10. So we'll start at 10 o'clock on Monday, and we will go a full day Monday. We'll leave every day next week. We'll use a full day. So we will see you next week.
Judge,
those same cautions. Please
gotta
do
end
not
at 4 on
discuss
Monday.
this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. Be very careful with your social media use, and have a great weekend. See you Monday at 10. Sergeant, we need that.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. We're gonna bail for just a minute. I'll keep watch of this. If they talk about anything after this, we'll jump back. But 10 a.m. start. They need to be done by 4. They need to be done by 4 because I signed up for a gig Monday night. Can the defense use Paul's interviews that he's done on cross? That would be hearsay, and you would have to come up with a good hearsay exemption to get that in. It's a lot easier to use the defendant's out-of-court statements than some other witnesses. So it would have to be, I think we're coming back.
All right, so Monday we'll start with the jury at 10. If you need me before 10, please let people know so that we can deal with anything we can beforehand. I should be here. I'll be here before 10. So, all right, we'll see you on Monday. Thank you.
All right.
All right. What was I saying? Out-of-court statements. Very difficult to get another witness unless it was something for impeachment, and even then, it would probably have to be under oath. I don't know. I doubt they would bring in something he posted on YouTube, something that he said to somebody on the street that somebody filmed. Hey, Mr. Ray, how are you doing? Good. Do you want to talk? You want to interview me? Great. I'm in trouble, guys. It's probably about the goldfish.
It is not about the goldfish.
It's always about the goldfish.
Okay, so I have a question, which you may not love, but here we are with everybody watching you. What do you think of this guy? Do you think he's telling the truth?
No.
Be judgmental.
No, I don't think he's telling the truth.
Why?
And I think that this trial, this investigation, at some point, became very, very personal for Mr. Buchanek.
Talk to me about that. Why do you think it's personal for him? The skeleton is in the way. I feel like I'm looking at you through bones.
You are.
Okay.
Now we need light on you. I can't see you.
Why is it personal for him?
Because he refuses to acknowledge facts that were found in the investigation when brought up and stated by AJ. So, I mean, this is why I think that it's personal. Not that that's what made it personal. This is just how it exhibits, the symptoms of this being very personal to him. Now, I think it could be personal for a couple of reasons. First of all, he has the Massachusetts State Police have been sort of dragged through the mud in the media on this one for a long time. He takes that personally. That's his job. And a lot of police officers, as they rightfully should, feel pretty good about what they do. And to protect and to serve, they take an oath. They hold that pretty close to their heart. And when somebody attacks that, attack against one of us is attack against all of us, right?
Ask me how I feel about that.
I'm not going to ask you how you feel about that.
That's a good idea. Let's not talk about that. Okay, so that's one reason he might be taking it personally.
He may also be taking it personally because he feels that the targeting of third-party culprits was low. I mean, targeting Colin, saying it could have been a kid under the age of 18 who picked this fight and beat up and killed a police officer. That was trial number 1, and he would be like, "Look, this is dirty." And maybe he just looked at the evidence and said, "This is an open and shut case," And in his head, he doesn't see any other possibility.
Do you believe that? Like, legitimately. I can get behind the other two situations. I cannot see that one.
I think you could believe that.
Truly? You can look at the crap job that they did, at the horrible situation that they have created, and say, we're just human. We sure have done the very best we can. Everybody should just be super understanding.
I think he thinks that the investigation into him and Trooper Proctor went too far.
Because you shouldn't be able to investigate people.
That's
just wrong. To look at the people who have all the power and determine if they're using it wisely?
I think it didn't go far enough, personally. But I think he thinks it went too far. And so with that viewpoint, the reaction, the penalty that came out, I mean, losing 5 vacation days is nothing. He's not mad about not getting to go to Disneyland, right?
He might be.
I don't think he is. More so, it's the finding. It's that paper that has his name on it, where they're
Black
like
mark.
guilty, and their punishment is. That means more to him than any amount of vacation days.
Okay, talk to me about what you believe his relationship is with Proctor. Not like he's his boss, but I mean, how does he feel about Proctor? Do you think that he thinks Proctor was unfairly maligned? Do you think that he's
I think he was done dirty, and this is why. Police officers have a warped sense of humor. Okay, and I say this generally, not all of them, but the police officers I have worked with.
Dark, you mean?
It's dark, right? They will make jokes about things that it's not right to do, right? About terrible situations, accidents, that even loss of life. They deal with that on a day in and day out. And one of the mechanisms a lot of them use to deal with that is this dark humor. That at times when you just want to turn your brain off and not know the things you know, they turn to humor, and it is what it is. I think that Proctor and Buchanek looked at what Proctor was doing and viewed it as that. That just comes with the territory, and it's okay. It's not okay to other people. As a matter of fact, if somebody hears some of these jokes that police officers tell, it's all on pace with what we talked about on the podcast. Playing bingo with, what kind of arrest you get. It's just, it doesn't look good at all from the outside, but from the inside, it's very well accepted.
I missed the podcast. What?
What?
Sorry.
It's every Thursday night at 8 p.m.
Okay.
You were right. She missed the podcast. I have to cut this interview short.
Okay. So let me sum up what I'm hearing you say, that you think he feels it was wrong to interview or to investigate Proctor and himself, that it went too far, and that Proctor is justified in his joking, jovial, how he's treating this.
I don't think he's justified.
No, I'm saying from Buchanek's point of view.
Right.
That it's justified because that's just how we talk to each other. It didn't raise any red flags then. It's kind of embarrassing that it's out in the public right now, but the public just don't understand what we real people have to deal with. Oh, this is so...
Yep.
That's
it. What else?
Okay.
What other questions?
More questions. Okay. Buchanek is dragging his feet like he's got a lead weight on them. And Alan Jackson is attacking like a Rottweiler. The question is, who is bugging the jury more?
Well, I think the jury feels the frustration of the judge first. Because they come into there saying, I agree to be impartial. And there's, on the part of every jury member, there's probably an active thing. It's like, I'm not taking a side here. I'm like the judge, right? And the judge is like, you're wasting our time. The jury sees that as, you're wasting my time. And so if the judge is mad at someone for wasting time, they probably will see it the same way as that's... What was the question again?
I was asking who you think is bugging the jury more, the
about
Alan
the wasting
Jackson
time.
or the Buchanek?
Mr. Buchanek.
You believe that he's bugging them more than Alan Jackson's aggressive tactics are?
I believe today they are bugged that Alan Jackson made Mr. Buchanek read every single text message.
Okay.
That was a lot.
It's such a tricky thing because it's like he won't answer.
But Alan fixed it at the end.
How did he fix it?
By going back and asking that first question. He's like, so now that you've read these texts, would you agree that they're flirtatious? We just spent this last 2 hours doing this because you won't say that those were flirtatious texts. And so he's like,
So those
I'm sorry
2 hours,
we have to do this.
I was shopping and at a museum. Did they go through the
I
details?
will never get those hours back. It was,
but you did get goldfish crackers out of it, so it's kind of worth it. Okay, so hang on. I had more questions.
What I'm hearing in chat and what I'm seeing is happening on Twitter. People who are in the court, who are watching, who are able to see the jurors, are frustrated at the delay and the dragging the feet, and even visibly shaking their head and sometimes laughing at Mr. Buchanek as he finds every way he can to argue about semantics.
Okay, so he's frustrating. He's certainly frustrating to me. Let's assume that he's frustrating to the jury. Does that frustration then connect to the idea that he's wrong? Or does it just come across as, man, these are two big personalities bonking heads. Bonking heads.
Not boinking heads, that's different. Yes, I think it does connect. But not that he's wrong, just that he's hiding something. That there's something that may be close to this case, evidentially wise, that he doesn't want in.
Yes, clearly. I feel like when I'm listening to these two go at each other, I feel like I really need Alan Jackson to come in with a strong right hook so that when it's over, I can say, oh, that's what we were fighting about. That's what happened. That was the point of all that. And I don't know that he's getting that in.
The problem is every time Jackson comes in with that right hook, there's an objection sustained because of the badgering the witness.
That's the objection?
You can't come at him like that.
And why not?
Because courts have rules.
But
this is not the Perry Mason show. So he has to follow the proper procedure. There's an objection, it's sustained. When he tries to bring in material, there's an objection, it's sustained, it goes to sidebar. And today, Mr. Jackson won, 9 out of 10?
A lot of them.
Objections?
Yeah.
And the evidence he wanted to bring in came in over and over and over the objection of the Commonwealth. So Mr. Jackson's strong right hook is coming at sidebar.
Okay,
and that's where it matters.
Okay, and I'm just saying, as a jury member, I don't care. I can't hear what's happening at sidebar. I don't even know what happened at sidebar. You can look at it and say, oh, he won that one, but they cannot. And this is really messing with the pacing.
The jury does see that he wins at sidebar because Mr. Jackson does a thing where he says, Your Honor, may I proceed? Basically, making the judge say, give the go-ahead.
Yeah,
and then
I did notice that.
The exact same question as word for word as he can remember it. To remind the jury that before I was so rudely interrupted by the judge, by the Commonwealth, or the judge as the case may be, this is where I was going, and we're going to keep going there over the objection. So I think they are seeing that he's winning, and I like it. This is great. Do you
feel like he's landing his points where the jury is able to get to the end of this exhausting back and forth and say, aha, that's it. That was that was worth that fight.
Mr. Jackson is really good at questioning witnesses, all types. Okay, and this is a professional witness. This is a seasoned investigator who has testified in a lot of trials. Stop. Hang on.
The
Stop.
Poor guy.
Third language. He started when he was 9.
I know.
Okay, he was speaking English by the time he was
absurd.
10.
But I think he.
So was I. That's about when I started talking.
And have not stopped since.
Yeah. I don't buy it's my third language, I don't understand.
Do you think the jury did?
No.
Why?
Because he used the same words seconds before that he says, I don't understand what theory is, but you just used it 40 seconds ago.
Okay, but he said that, I thought he said that to try to cover yesterday's thing, where it was like, I'm coming at you, and I don't know what that word means, and I don't know what that word means. And he's like, oh, this is like my third language. And I was like, oh!
No, I muted you while I sniffed into my mic. I apologize for that.
That's okay. I had nothing important to say there. It's just fine.
Mr. Jackson's really good at asking these questions. With a witness who is not as savvy as Mr. Buchanek, Mr. Jackson could lead them down a garden path and get them to say everything he wanted them to say.
Yeah.
He's not getting that with Mr. Buchanek. Even when Mr. Buchanek is forced to admit, basically say yes to a question, instead of saying yes, except for the very end of the day today, he will find a way to restate it that will soften or include some other piece of information that Mr. Jackson did not want to include or a direction he wasn't going. So Mr. Jackson hasn't won just hands down with this witness, although
Right.
he has, I think, won the battle. This witness is sort of holding his own a little bit and frustrating Alan at the same time.
Yeah, he's frustrating me. So let's talk about Proctor.
Yeah.
The Commonwealth wisely has decided not to bring in that particular snake that would just jump up and bite them. But certainly Alan Jackson can call him.
Yes.
What's the problem with that?
Because on direct, you cannot lead. And so you basically need to get him to say the right things, and he'll have to have his own witness declared a hostile witness.
Why not, though?
And then the bigger issue is he wants to cross him and show where he's wrong, and he's basically going to call a witness to impeach them.
So what? You know that they're not on the same side.
The optics of that are quite interesting.
I disagree. I think that as the jury, they're going. You just did a slow blink at me, like you don't disagree. I do. I disagree because I think the jury knows that Proctor is on the opposite side, and so whoever calls them, they know that when Alan Jackson is interviewing Proctor, he's going to come at him. I don't think that the jury is going to be like, "What? You're not allowed to lead." Like, they don't know. They don't care.
Here's what I think. If the defense calls Proctor, here's what they'll get out of him. I think he will admit that he was the lead investigator.
Yeah.
Because he did before. So I think he's gonna stick by those guns and say I was the lead. That goes against Mr. Buchanek, Sergeant Buchanek, saying we don't really have leads here. It's just someone's roughly put in charge for coordination purposes, but really we're all equals. And yeah, they're gonna get that part.
Yeah.
And they can drag him through some nasty text messages and drag his friends' names into the mud and point out some, what did he do with that evidence all that time? Where was it? It was in the trunk of your car, just bouncing
That's
around.
Big.
It is, but it doesn't change the facts we've already got. And I don't know what all they're going to get from him. That's
You don't think it would be worth another dentist appointment trying to get this information in?
I think it would be fun, and I'd like to watch it, but I don't know what the jury would benefit from it. Especially if the Commonwealth has owned up to some of the things, the mic drop moments that we got from Proctor last time. If they've owned up to it here, dragging out it again is like, yeah, it was what it was. We've already talked about that.
Okay.
Now you're just wasting the jury's time, and it's
So,
cumulative.
Looking at this then, and the Commonwealth choosing to call Buchanek instead of calling Proctor, do you feel like that has a softening influence on how the Commonwealth looks? Not the the Commonwealth.
By calling who?
By calling Buchanek instead of Proctor, do you think that served the Commonwealth because it makes them look less bad?
I don't think it has the same effect on the jury as it does to us. We know the other players who were called, who were presented to us as the key individuals in trial number one. The jury doesn't. And so to us, the fact that you're not calling them is not as glaringly obvious as to the jury who might be hearing this for the first time and not know, well, who's the next witness? Paul? Oh. They don't know whether or not he testified before. Mm-hmm. They don't know if Brian Albert testified or Brian Higgins or the Lucky the snowplow driver. They don't know any of that. So the decision of who to call is I'd say it's more just an interesting fact and an interesting thing to analyze on the case, looking at a case that is tried twice and the different ways you can try the case with the same set of facts. It's just a different prosecutor and a different angle.
Yeah. Well, I think that it did. I think that by choosing to bring Buchanek as the one that is representing everything that the Commonwealth did, they did soften the entire thing because he could never say, you did this, you did this. He could never get up in his grill the way that he could with Proctor. And so because they made that decision, it did soften a lot of the offensiveness of what we got last time. Did you mute me again?
No, I muted me.
Oh, okay.
I sniffed into this mic. I would like to see Proctor called just to see if the story is consistent, because we have prior testimony. We have a lot of evidence. Oh my goodness, we have evidence. I wish we had just the counts. Take all the evidence, all the reports, all the interviews, all the pieces of evidence that were obtained, and just sort them into categories by who touched it, and highlight with Proctor in red, and just look at the numbers. This was Proctor's investigation. This was all him.
We need to make more of a point. I feel like one of the challenges that Alan is facing, and maybe he can handle this way better than I can because of his experience as a lawyer, but it's taking something that has been hashed out to the nth degree and then remembering that it hasn't been for this jury, making sure that every single detail gets told to this jury that needs to be told. There is a big part of me that sighs inside. I'm like, we're going to go over this again. Like, I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of, dragging through this. Haven't we already done this a bunch? Well, yeah, we have. But the jury hasn't heard it. And having that mental and emotional fortitude to keep at it when, you really have literally already done this.
In the interviewing world, like in the reporting world, this is an issue because I might meet somebody who's fascinating and say, hey, I'd like to have you on the podcast. Let me get Thomas on board, see if we can interview you. That might be amazing. But if I sit down with them and I talk about everything we're going to talk about, and I get those stories and everything. Then I sit down for the interview, and I'm like, did I ask that already? Because I remember you telling me.
Yeah.
And you might be saying, like I already told you.
Yeah.
But all the viewers would be like, this guy's brand new. I don't know what you're talking about. Was there a conversation I missed? Was there a previous episode?
Yes.
Having the ability to hold on the conversation and spatially say, hey, this is what we've talked about this time. And this is what the other things I know the jury has not heard,
right.
And keep them separate. I think that you probably got Miss Little in the middle of that one. Her brain's amazing.
Yeah.
What she's able to do and track, and that's why you got a team of lawyers to just make sure they probably go over it on paper first, and cross everything off one thing at a time. You're hearing AJ do that every time he asks a question. He crosses it off.
Yes.
He's not going on memory where he wants to go next. He's following the paper plan.
But one of his greatest gifts, and I will full out say, Alan Jackson is aggressive to an offensive degree. Okay, I'm gonna put that out there. He just really is.
And I'm here for it.
But
man,
what he is absolutely just rock star level at is thinking on his feet. That as things get thrown at him that he didn't necessarily anticipate, he's right there. He's like, okay, and now we're going to follow that, and we're going to see the implications of that. We're going to see how that affects every single thing else, and I'm going to make sure that I ask the questions that are going to leave all the doors open that I need to be left open. He is so fast on his feet. That is really fun to watch. His processing power is like, woo, 5 times speed.
Brennan is also an A-game lawyer.
Yes.
This is a matchup that is they're two very competent players at the top of their game.
Yeah.
And of course, they've got support team members.
I'm trying to get in your eye line so you can look at me and the camera, but the mic is not working with me.
I need a light on you so we can see you. It's like you're invisible here.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to get it so you can look at me. Hi.
Yeah,
yes,
that's better.
So much better. Thank you.
I can see you now.
Yes, and only you can see. No, for real, that's super bright.
I can turn it down a little bit.
On a completely unrelated note, our son just came in and said one of his stitches fell out a mere 4 days after surgery. Is
what
that a
could
thing?
Go wrong there?
Is that a problem, guys?
Sounds good. No
I
problems.
hope that's not a problem.
Everything's fine.
Oh. Okay, let me think if there were any other questions that I had specifically about Buchanek and Alan Jackson and how they interact with each other. That again, the jury, this is the first time that they're seeing it, and it's really easy to pick sides. And I see people picking sides based on the information that they have assimilated and determined who they think is guilty, who they think is not guilty, and then through that lens, they are looking at this situation and saying, wow, I really, really feel like Karen Reed is guilty. Alan Jackson is the worst. Or they're saying, wow, this is such a frame job. Way to go, Alan Jackson. Buchanek is the worst. And you just sort of experience it differently based on the lens that you're looking through. I'm wondering what people are experiencing if they don't have any of those lenses, if this is just the first time that they are coming across this information.
We have a couple people in chat who did not follow the trial the first time around, who were not interested, and some of them said, I wasn't going to follow this one, but now I can't leave, right?
Yeah,
and there are some people who followed the first time and said, there was no way I was going to sit through the second time, but now I'm hooked. I need to see this through. It's a fascinating stitch coming out is fine, just no straws. Okay.
What?
No straw. You can't use like straws for drinking because of the
suction. Oh my gosh, I think you meant a straw coming out. I'm like, why would a straw come out?
It's all normal.
They said it's fine. They said it's normal.
Just don't pick at it. Don't
Your
drink with
stitch
straws.
coming out. It's fine.
We are done for the day. Alicia says, I didn't follow the first trial. I'm going by evidence, lack of evidence, believability of witnesses, says J.D. DeWolf.
Oh, J.D. Wolf. How believable do you find Buchanek?
Yeah, that's interesting. For those who are seeing him for the first time, and I realize I've tainted that with some of my commentary.
Well, I think all of us, we're all, it's an ongoing conversation, and that affects things. But still, how do you feel about it? How did you perceive, I'm curious mostly about Jen McCabe and Buchanek. How did they come across for you? And I guess Alan Jackson, how is he coming across for you?
Judy
I guess
says not believable. I'm looking for people who are seeing it for the first time. Lawson, I feel like you watched first trial. If you watched first trial, you think not guilty because of reasonable doubt. Love story from Mrs. R.A. We need her thoughts. I feel like I cannot trust any of the police, says Lindsay. Apple Treasure. The sergeant's very sketchy, says Apple Treasure.
Wait, who's the sergeant? Buchanek? Okay.
Yeah. Mindy FS feels that Jen McCabe is covering something.
Okay, but if you feel like she's covering something, does that connect enough that you're like, therefore, Karen Reed didn't do it? Or is it just like, whew, that lady's shady lady?
Pat also says, R.A., you certainly have tainted the conversation. Yes, I have. I got, as Ian would said, I got my taint all over it. But
it's
we can't
all
go
you,
there.
Scott. You tainted this so bad.
Now I need to play Ian's soundbite because that's appropriate. We've got a call coming in. You'll need to put some headphones on.
Yes, I need headphones.
Call from Hit and Rum.
Hey, Hit and Rum, how are you doing?
Good. This is the first time I've watched this trial.
Yeah.
So I'm finding like Buchanek, he's coming off as a jerk actually, and I don't believe anything that he says.
Nothing at all. Hang on.
He just looks like he's just trying to be, just trying to mislead people. That's how he comes across to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just got plugged in. Are you talking about Alan Jackson or Buchanek?
Buchanek.
Okay.
Buchanek.
And is this the first time? Well, I guess it's the first time all of us have heard from Buchanek.
Hey, I've got a. Can I let you go? I've got a spam call. I know it's a terrible thing to do. I'm so sorry. I feel bad.
I want to talk to her.
Yeah, I've never seen this. I didn't see the first trial.
All right.
Oh, that's
Thank you so
interesting.
much. I appreciate your input on that one. We'll see if we can get some more input on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
They hung up. They were too quick. I'm sorry. I apologize. Joe Sherlock has this comment. It says, I did not watch the first trial and had an open mind, but it's tainted because of what others are saying about stuff I didn't know. That is a problem.
It's very hard. And
I have caused that. I acknowledge that.
No, I think that's the advantage of having these kind of shows that people can watch and think about and process. It does have the disadvantage of keeping, more like the jury, but it has the advantage of being able to work things through and make logical sense of it. Speaking of, I remember one of my questions. Do lots of people have other questions?
No, everyone's jumping on me because I asked to Hit and Rum. I said I wanted to hang up to take the spam call. I apologize. Hit and Rum, it is not you. Please don't be offended. I do this to anyone who's on the phone when I get a spam call.
He does this to me when I tried to talk to him. That moment when Buchanek was like, are you listening to my answer? I was like, Buchanek, I feel you, man. I feel you.
I was getting a spam call. What can you say? I am so sorry. This is a character flaw and a weakness in me that I readily accept, identify with, and will not change. That's it. I'm addicted to spam calls.
You're taking all the blame just like a politician?
Yes. I'm owning up and saying yes, and I will do it again.
Nice. Okay, so here.
People are asking about Cora.
Yeah, I did not understand. Can you turn down? This is so hot in my ears.
You're in one, right? Is that better? Test 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
That's better. Thank you.
Cora is. I'm a little. I apologize. I realized it was terrible when I was doing it, but I still did it. I'm sorry. Cora was Chloe.
Yes, I understood that they renamed her, but I didn't understand the whole. Maybe this isn't the actual dog, and we don't have the transfer paper.
AJ nailed this one. I don't think there was any indication on the part of the Commonwealth to address this, or they would have sooner. because they did not beat AJ to the punch on this. This was his mic drop moment. Everything else.
I didn't get it, though. What did he prove? What was the point?
Sergeant Buchanek is like, yeah, we went up, we checked the dog to make sure it didn't match, the teeth don't match. We did a mold of her mouth, everything. It's like it's a different bite. It didn't fit.
Okay, I'm sorry. I must have been with the kids.
If the bite don't fit, you must convict.
So I'm sorry, I apologize to everybody, but I was out for this bit. Are you saying that he went to Cora, who they claim is Chloe, and did a mouth print on her and said that doesn't match his arms?
Yeah, they talked to the new owners, completely different. The new owner's like, hey, come meet Chloe, who we now call Cora. And all the paperwork he has, there's no transfer, there's no adoption, there's no sale. There's no veterinary stuff that connects the dots between the two. It's like we have two separate dogs, one who's alive and up in some other state who we don't know, with some other owner who got it from somebody else who was not the Alberts. And then we have this Chloe who sort of just, veterinary records just trail off and is gone. And they're saying, look, German Shepherd, samesies. And Alan Jackson's
then
like,
where did Cora come from? Why are we assuming that this is Chloe?
Because the new owner says...
It's Chloe?
This is Chloe. We just call her Cora now.
Did we look at the new owner's bank account? Asking for a friend.
It's a vet. We haven't followed the money yet. So, as a matter of fact, Trooper Buchanek went so far as to leaving out key bits of details like the names of the dog. I think he left out Cora. I think he left out the names of the new owners in his report.
In his report?
Yes.
Oh.
It's Buchanek has trouble with C words, and Cora is, Cora. It's a hard name. It's a hard name.
I'm trying so hard not to make fun of him for things that
Cora
are
is short
reasonable.
for correlation. It's like two things that are similar to each other that you're put side by side. I don't know why they chose that name for the dog.
Oh, no. That's so bad.
Come here, correlation. Correlation.
Not causation. Come here.
All right. I think we're done.
No, because I have one more question.
Semantics. Okay, go ahead. Fire away.
Okay, this morning we were talking about the taillights, and I had not realized at the time that the taillight has both the white diffuser and then it has also a red on top of it.
Yes.
And that part of her taillight structure is just white. There's no red over the top of it. It is white coming from the factory.
Yes.
I don't really have a question here. I'm just thinking it through in my head.
Well, you're in luck. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere around that time frame, we will have a package arriving, and it's our very own Lexus taillight.
So here we are with no podcast partner, but look, a Lexus taillight.
We're doing for podcast next week because Thomas is going to be gone. We're doing our salsa. I'm cooking salsa.
Oh.
Got a call coming in. Hang on.
Call from Leah. To accept, press 1. To
Hello?
send a voicemail, press 2.
You have to hit 1.
Hang on. Hello?
Hi, this is Leah Bell.
Hey, Leah Bell, this is Scott. And Mrs. R.A. as well. How are you doing?
Hi, how you guys doing?
Fabulous.
Awesome. So I can't talk for long, but I just wanted to bring up something. I didn't really watch the first trial. I saw bits and pieces of it, and from what I saw, I was always like, oh, she's innocent, this is crazy. And then as I'm watching this one, I, went in with that mindset as well. When they showed her with all the taillight stuff, she backed up, she hit John's car. Mm-hmm. I would assume at that point, from all the videos that I've seen and all the deep dives and all the videos and all the things, that taillight broke. What's to say that she also didn't hit John? The taillight was already broken. She backed up, she hit him.
Two things can be true, right? Two things can be true.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. So what's to say because the taillight was already broken, it just cracked further, left a little bit. And then when the police were like, oh, taillights, oh, look at taillights here. We have to convict her. And they went and they moved them.
Okay.
Because I don't trust the police in that town at all.
Here's what I'll say. If Proctor, I'm gonna put this on Proctor. I'm not a believer in the Great Canton conspiracy. I don't believe it. I don't believe everybody is wrong. I believe Proctor may have been dirty. And if Proctor planted evidence without hesitation, regardless of Karen Reed's guilt, she should be found not guilty. And I stand by that. There is
for sure.
no
I
possible
really
way we should
think
convict
that-
someone on a
Absolutely.
corrupt investigation.
Absolutely. Because there is reasonable doubt. She hit something. There is, like all of this Planet evidence, all of the, all the nonsense. I think their investigation was poop. So I don't think they can convict her. Right. But I'm like, oh, I don't know. Maybe my mind has changed. Maybe she did hit him, but I don't think it was enough to kill him.
I don't think she could have, because there's no indication on his body that he was hit.
Even just a little tap? I don't even know, because if there was like little bits of broken taillight, that would make sense with like a collision of some kind where he was.
So here's where I am on this. I believe, from my experience with taillights breaking, is that I've never.
That you have that.
I know, but I've never hit a person, right? Oh, that sounds so bad. Hey guys, I've never hit a person.
No, I'm really happy for you, because
thank you.
It's not fun.
This is a humble brag here.
It's a low bar, but I managed to clear it. I'm just saying, to break that taillight, you have to hit something really hard, not squishy. It has to be hard. So where I'm coming from,
right.
I think he took his glass that he was holding and he walloped the car. He hit the taillight with that glass. I think that might have the strength to break some of the taillight. Just up close, a thick piece of glass, whap. That could do it. Hitting a body, not unless it was a deer charging you.
But after it was already broken from her hitting John's truck?
Even cracked, though. I mean, that stuff, that plastic is so thick. And we were watching a guy who was doing a demonstration of what it took to break a taillight. I mean, he had to wallop it with like a what is that called, a ball peen hammer?
Yeah, mini sledge.
I mean, you really got to go after it. Those things, they don't break easily, especially not against squishy stuff.
Here's
I am
what I'll
waiting
say.
for ARCA, because I do think ARCA's got some really good tests, and I want to see. I don't right now. I'm kind of like maybe, but I am waiting for the rest of the trial. I am not going to say one way or another anymore. Before I was like totally not guilty all of the time. Now I'm like, ooh, I don't know. So there's more evidence.
I can't get there.
Here's what I think we're going to do. Let me say this. Next week, when we get the taillight, we have to do some tests, and unfortunately, we have to.
We have to like choose which test we do.
Tests are destructive, and so we get to choose. Virginia suggests we freeze it and see how hard it is to break it. I'm not sure if we can freeze it to the same temperature that Canton 32? Was at. We can do a couple things, but
because I do know that I hit something one time and my bumper. I was freezing outside. My bumper cracked from just like tapping a snowbank.
Yeah. A snowbank?
Because
was it a frozen
I went to
snowbank?
Yeah, I went to go park my car and I tapped it, and then I went to go look and it was cracked.
Yeah.
Oh, Scott!
Was it a frozen snowbank?
You know what I mean.
One of the icy ones, not the fluffy ones.
That's what I meant.
I might need to order a second taillight.
No,
hey,
but
Ola was saying that if we just keep ordering one piece of Alexis at a time, then
one day
soon we'll have a whole car.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my, yeah.
Anyways, I have to run, but I'm going to come back and listen, because I can't listen and do it the phone at the same time. But I do have to run. I have to go to work.
Thanks for calling. Good, have fun at work.
Way to be mature. Yep. Way to adult.
I gotta do some adulting today.
I know.
All right. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Yep.
Bye. Amber, why are you waving my K-bar around?
You have the most crazy things on your desk.
I'm collecting potential evidence.
Sorry, Amber. Sorry. I'm just noticing everything that he puts on his desk. That's
for
go to jail.
That's for a later
over
trial. I'll go to jail
desk.
for my Google searches, not for that I bought, not for a fake knife. Okay.
Sorry, Amber. You're so important. I'm sorry.
I sacrificed my Google history for the team earlier.
Yes, I appreciate you taking one for the team. At work, nonetheless. Oh, my goodness.
Woo. Okay, I have a couple of things. One, can we motion to move your mic stand out of Mrs. R.A.'s face?
Oh, because that won't affect your ability to speak at all.
It's the camera
I'm
that's
sorry.
the problem.
I'm trying to get like in the line of the camera so that he can look at me and the camera at the same time, but it's not working because I can't get that far over.
It's not you, Mrs. R.A. It's R.A. He wants to see me.
It's you, Scott.
Okay, here's what it is. The camera has to be right here because when I'm on this view, okay, well, when I'm on this view right here, this is me looking at the TV screen. This is me looking at chat. I need to be able to have the camera sort of be on the line of sight. Otherwise, it's just like, where's Scott at? He's off in some other role. No, I'm watching chat. I just don't know. I don't have a good place for my camera. And if it's like right in my eye line, like this, I can't see the TV. So I've bought a new mount right here, a little small rig mount.
That looks like some of the tools they use when you go get your eyes checked.
You just loosen one thing, and then the whole thing just becomes like a Gumby and can flex around, and you tighten one thing, and it just locks into position.
Nice. Boom. We needed more gear.
So, yeah, we did. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thanks. I totally forgot it was Mother's Day, and I was checking out from the grocery store, and they're like, hey, Happy Mother's Day. My first thought was such an absurd thought. I was like, how do you know I'm a mom? I had 3 kids with me. And then the second thought I had was, oh my gosh, that's right, that's coming up. Not prepared. Have done nothing for his mom, nothing for my mom.
I'm prepared.
Are you prepared?
I am.
Have you done stuff for your mom?
I've done something for you.
That's close enough. We're going to count it.
You saw it already.
Oh, I did see it.
You analyzed the package to say,
No, it was written to me. It had my okay. Anyway,
it's
Amber,
for you.
I'm sure you were calling about something to do with the case. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh.
So my case-related question was, how big was the admission that AJ got out of Buchanek that she actually backed into John's SUV in the driveway?
It's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us.
It was big. It was really big. Sorry. Thanks for the setup on that one, Amber.
Okay, I was watching Scott, wondering what he was going to do, and I missed the question. How big was what?
They got Sergeant Buchanek to admit that there was contact between the two cars, where last trial he said they came close. Came close to each other.
Yes, I've come close to a telephone pole before, about that close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we had to pay the bill.
It left a mark, yeah.
It was big. It was big there. I think it's equally big on Chloe. On some of the answers he's had to give about Chloe, I think that's been AJ's only mic drop moment in front of this jury so far. So.
Oh, he's not done. I have a little bit of insight, like I usually do, and I promised in mod chat I wasn't spoiling it. Although one of the mods tried to get me to spoil it for everybody. We've got more coming on Monday. So
why do you know this?
I mean, chew on this over the weekend and think about how the jury's going to be chewing on this over the weekend, especially that Waterfall video or CF McCarthy, but whichever one it was.
The one where they were wrestling?
Keep that in mind. Yep, keep that in mind.
They were spooning.
They were drunk.
Lord have mercy.
I saw what I saw. I stand by my statement.
We're getting a whole lot more on Monday. I feel it coming.
You feel it,
and
in
I
your
don't
bones?
think we're gonna have to. I don't think we're gonna have to call Proctor to the stand at all.
Here's why I like that, Amber. I like that because everything that we got in trial number 1, and by we I mean mic drop moments, spiciness moments from the defense, has been effectively countered or muted in trial number 2. They've been very, very good at getting ahead of the ball, getting ahead of the game, controlling the narrative, owning up so that AJ does not get his moment in front of the jury. But what they don't know is AJ's plan for this trial. And AJ wasn't just hoping to just score the same points again. We're not going to replay the game like it was played the first time. The same players are going to kick the same goals. It's going to be different goals.
But to counter and play devil's advocate, and by no means am I a Brennan fan, nobody has really seen Brennan in action since Whitey Bulger, to be frank. I mean, who has seen him do what legally in courtrooms in any case since Whitey Bulger?
I didn't see that one even. So,
and most people didn't even see that. So I mean, it's or even look into that case to know how he what his style is. So the defense doesn't know his angle either, and he's done a great job with calling the witnesses as he has. Because he's kept us all guessing, because we're all like, why is he calling this person before? Is he not even calling this one? Wait, has Julie, but what
he's
about,
good. He's good.
Where are all these witnesses coming from? Right. It's not any kind of order that any of us would have thought of. So he's doing great in that respect. I gotta give him
respect
his
that. So Amber, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel, and I know this is hard to answer, but imagining that this is the first time that you have seen this court case, do you feel like prosecution is winning or not winning?
I don't think they've proven their case yet. If I were to just section off and compartmentalize my knowledge here and only base it off of what we've gotten from opening statements forward, without Scott's,
tainting the pool
bias commentary.
I got my taint all over it. That's an Ian Runkelism? I don't know. I probably can't say that on.
Because we here in Canada hate you and hope for bad things for you because we hate you.
Thank you, Ian.
So
only
if
a Canadian
I were to
could say that.
compartmentalize myself,
yes,
I think they've done a better job this go round, but they've not proven their case to me in any way, shape, or form. They still look like fools, in my opinion.
100% they've done a better job, like by 100%. Yes. They've made huge leaps forward in their presentation. However, I cannot separate my old information from my new information. I don't know what I would feel if this is the first time I'm seeing it. I feel like probably I would be more bugged at Alan Jackson than I am now. That he's super aggressive. And if you haven't decided that the people that he's being aggressive toward deserve it, then you kind of get defensive for him. And I wonder if that's where anybody on the jury is. Scott saying no?
That's something else. Sorry, I'm answering questions in chat while I listen to you. Go ahead.
While you listen with both of your ears?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What was the question again?
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. You feel, Amber, you feel like you would still side with defense at this point in this trial?
I wouldn't necessarily side with anybody because we haven't gotten through the state's case in chief to begin with. So I do really good with being able to compartmentalize what information I have and what I'm supposed to consider for what.
That's a skill.
It is, and it's ADD brain all day long.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say I'm for either side, but what I can confidently say is that the state has not proven their case to me whatsoever. They have done a better job in the sequence of how they're calling the witnesses and the way they're telling the story.
And the way the witnesses are presenting is just light years better than last time.
Today, I think I would, to comment on your comment about AJ, I gave RA some homework that he's probably already forgotten that he has. I want to give you some homework real quick. I want you to go pull up the Phil Spector trial, and I want you to go listen to how AJ directs and crosses witnesses. He is a state prosecutor in the Phil Spector case. I want you to go back and watch him in that case and see what you think of the difference.
Okay, so I have not seen that.
I have a confession. I'm not going to do that.
At least you're honest.
I do very poorly.
I know there's a better shot.
I barely graduated high school. And it's not because I'm not smart, okay?
You have a bachelor's degree.
Okay?
I went to college. I did well in college. I just don't like homework, and that's it. Had you called it anything else and you said, hey, have you heard about this cool video? I would be all over it. But you've ruined it by calling it homework, and now forever it will be gone. I cannot watch that now.
Okay.
I didn't call it homework for you. I didn't give this assignment to you.
So, chat, should we roll tape? Should we roll this back?
Oh, you gave it to me? I like homework either. Okay, wait.
Okay,
Amber, I have something that it just fascinates me about the way that Alan Jackson testifies. And he is testifying. It's that you're not allowed to testify as a lawyer, and he does sometimes really step in it. And Brennan gets on him.
He can lead, though.
Yes, but here's what he does that I think is so fascinating. He asks questions where the other person is like, no, 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 no. And they can say no all day long because he's just telling you the story. And as you're sitting listening to his story, I'm almost like, hey, shush, witness, be quiet. I need to hear what he's saying. Like, it is amazing to me that the witness does not even need to be there. And what they are saying is irrelevant to the fact that he is getting evidence in through the way that he is phrasing questions. That is next level.
Case in point, that is exactly how he's treated this witness, Buchanek, because he knows Buchanek he's not gonna give him the answer he wants. He's not gonna say they were flirtatious texts. So you know what? I'm gonna pull teeth and actually make you go through this. This is what you decided to do. This wasn't me. I asked you before this if they were flirtatious texts.
Right.
You said no. Now what do you say? And you still say no. So now you know more to listen to what his questions are as opposed to what's coming out of his mouth, because he shot his own credibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I get more out of the question that's being asked as opposed to the answer that they're getting.
Yes,
Once I get to the point of they've done shredded their entire credibility.
That's because AJ is speaking to the jury and not to the witness.
Yeah, he's good at that.
I think he's got them. And they're following his narrative.
If you go back to look at some of the direct and cross of some of the witnesses in Phil Spector, you'll understand why I'm saying that. I'm going to say the last thing because this was longer than I anticipated to be on the phone.
12 minutes, 59 seconds to be exact. Go ahead.
We got you, Amber. We are not going to let go.
I really want to say thank you guys for the well wishes and thoughts and prayers for my mom. I want to say happy Mother's Day to you, Mrs. R.A., and to all single dads and homes without moms for whatever reason, because you guys matter too.
Yeah.
I do want to say a very special shout out to my mom. Happy Mommy's Day.
That's awesome.
Since she has recovered so well in the last few weeks. So we think she's good to go.
That's really cool.
That's
great news, Amber.
So happy Mother's Day, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think with that we're gonna kick off the music. Is that cool, Amber? That can be our outro. There we go. All right. Or do you have more questions?
Oh, unending, but we can get to them later.
Looks like I'm not getting sleep tonight. Apparently we have to have a discussion. Amber, thank you very much for the call. Mrs. R.A., thanks for making an appearance.
Thanks. I gotta say, this is the first time that I've come on this one because it has taken this long for Scott to start seeing it closer to my point of view, and our marriage is just more important than any case. So I've stayed away until now.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you coming on and asking the questions. Let's see. We've got it. I got somebody. Is this Tish Fish? Who's this? From Canada? I'm trying to get a message. Hang on. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again. It's going to be on Monday. Next week, here's what we have to look forward to. First of all, more cross with Mr. Buchanek on the stand. I expect to see Paul show up in court, suit and tie again. We expect to see him on the stand on Monday as well, on direct, probably cross as well.
Who's Paul?
Paul is John's brother.
Oh.
And Paul has made no secrets about how he feels about Karen and the whole defense team.
Oh.
So there's going to be some spice there, and I think we'll hear possibly from him. It's going to get blurted out about the out of court antics.
Yeah, and I do think
case.
that played a huge role in the last jury's verdicts. So if they can get it out, it will play a role.
It's gonna be good. Anyway, so we've got that next week. I have a salsa. We're gonna do a salsa live stream at 8 p.m. on Thursday. It's gonna be good. Here's the end of the music, so we need to go. It's semantics, though. It's semantics. You guys have a good one. We'll see you on Monday. Bye. Thanks, Miss Sorry. Appreciate you.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
I can't see my screen to see if it's off or not because you're in the way. Okay, there we go. I'm still live. I'm still live. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.